Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. Going to be talking about a variety of different things going on around planet Earth lately. Some of them may not have been enough for one video, so I kind of figured I'd just put them all together and talk about them in all in one video that way. So I'm going to start out by talking about everything going on surrounding James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are two of my favorite superhero movies, two of my favorite movies ever. So, the fact that this controversy happened to one of the main people involved, the director, was, a pretty big deal. I was definitely paying a lot of attention to it, and it's, and for those that are watching that don't know, James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, was fired for some tweets, some jokes that he sent out in tweets, like, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And some people, that's why this is a tough situation, because on one hand, the jokes that were dug up were definitely pathetic and disgusting. Like, I'm definitely not a supporter of that kind of content. I don't think they're jokes. I don't think that material. I'll argue with anyone that says, everything can be joked about or should be joked about. Like, no. There are certain things that should not be joked about, and the type of, I don't really want to, just the type of things that were in those tweets were definitely not something that you would want anybody associated with your movies doing, and certainly not someone you'd want to be a fan of that was doing that. At least not someone like me. But the thing about that is the people that dug up those tweets are these are basically James Gunn is a big was one of the big, he's a big celebrity, so he was one of the big people that was rallying against Donald Trump. So people that support Donald Trump want to take credibility away from his voice. So they looked into his past, see if there's anything they could find, and they found these pathetic jokes. So it's unfortunate, but that's the thing. I'm gonna get into that part of it in a bit. But that's why it's a tough situation, because it's being brought by people that I guarantee the same people that are trying to tell us, hey, look at James Gunn, fire him. It's like those people are making the same jokes or worse. Those people are doing, and here is okay. So if he's making those jokes today, absolutely, fire his ass. I would not be supporting him in any way. But those jokes and tweets were made years and years and years ago. And you just have to look at his conduct since then to know that, those were just offensive jokes that he tried to put out there to, some people think that, any reaction is a good reaction. So, doing controversial jokes like that and is and getting a reaction out of people is a win. But it's clearly those were just jokes, and since then he has you can see that there's nothing at all close to that in these Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's not sending out these tweets in recent times. This is like 6, 7, 8 years ago. So it's the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are so the opposite of what those jokes are. Like those jokes, I hate saying jokes because they're not, but that's how I gotta refer to them. Those jokes are they inspire negativity and and sorrow and sadness in people. Like, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna get into that, but they inspire negative, bad emotions. Where these Guardians of the Galaxy movies only inspire positivity and good things, and happiness and laughter, and adventure, and just strength and inspiration to move forward in a positive way. So clearly James Gunn, and these movies are everybody involved says these movies are his vision. It takes an entire team to bring them to life, but what these movies are and what they represent are his vision. So clearly he is not the same person that was making those jokes. Clearly he was not. They were just jokes. It's not like he was he's not like he was a bad person, making jokes like that. He was clearly a good person, just trying to get reactions in any way, and not and obviously saw the error of his ways and change. And I'm absolutely for people seeing the error of their ways and changing. And like it's. If he was still making these jokes, then then it would be hard for him to say, "Oh, I've changed. I'm not that person." But this stuff was dug up from years and years ago, and if you look at what he's done since then, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, like I said, they inspire so much good and positivity that it's. I just don't. It's clear that his character has completely changed, and it's just this is the internet. Like once you put it on there, it's probably there forever. I mean, I'm sure you can delete and wipe things, and certain things can be, but you have to do things. You have to operate with a mindset on the internet of if you put it out there, it could be there forever, and every single person in the world could potentially see it. So that's you got to be. We knew a lot less about the impact of these kinds of things back then as we do now. So I'm sure James probably would have deleted the tweets had he been able to or whatever. But it is what it is. Like I think that they immediately fired him, and I think I think they should have kind of taken a step back, done a little investigation, and been like, and found out what I just said. It's like clearly his conduct has changed. He's given us these two amazing movies that have inspired, like, forget money, like this is the good and positive energy and things that they provided people and spread around the world. It's like he's given you these two, and then bring money into it. These are more than successful. It's like I think he deserved a little bit more than an immediate firing. But I mean the jokes are pathetic and disgusting. I mean when you see them, it's just like wow. I mean when I wanted. Like I say, I'm a big fan of the movies and of everybody involved, James Gunn as well. So I wanted to see what the big controversy was. And when I saw them, I was just like, man, like I really had to think about it, because my first reaction was like F this guy, because like I can't stand people that make those like just awful over the line jokes. They're jokes that like don't. It's not the only kind of laughter is like just sick laughter, and it's like most people like cringe, like oh yeah, okay, like it's I just oh man, it's but when I just I was like okay, I just took a deep took a breath, took a step back, and did exactly that, looked to see okay, he hasn't made any movies or jokes like that in long time. All the stuff since he got his big break has all been positive and good. So it's I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt. But we'll come talk about that a little bit more in a second. And here we go. So yeah, and that back to what I was saying. Why it makes it a tough situation. You got to look at the big picture. I mean, the groups of the worst versions of people are going around trying to destroy the reputations of the good people that are like battling against these scumbags are supporting. Like, the Trump supporters are the ones that dug into his account and found, because James Gunn has been a very vocal critic of Trump and all the disgusting things that him and his administration have done. So it's they're trying to and he was a credible voice. He made these movies, but now they've completely taken that voice out. So it's like obviously I can't speak for everybody, but I'm certainly not going to have my life dictated by by the worst versions of people or by scumbags. Now obviously if they're bringing up crimes and stuff like that, then yeah, people are going to need to pay for it, be punished and whatever. But I mean, making disgusting jokes like these, it's not a crime. So it's, I'm not going to, these people don't live by the standard that they're trying to hold James Gunn to. So you know what? Fuck them. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's probably going to be some more language, but like seriously, like I'm not going to be dictated by the worst versions of people that they don't live by the standards that they're trying to force like James Gunn to live by. Oh, you must be completely perfect and like never made a disgusting joke in your life. Like it's I mean, it's I'm not going to be my life and how I live it is not going to be dictated by those groups of people. So that's why. So, but looking at those jokes, see, that's why it's so tough. I don't support those jokes at all, but I certainly don't support these groups of people that are trying to vilify James Gunn. So it's you're taking and it's taking all that into consideration. I am absolutely 100% in favor of James Gunn keeping his job and or being reinstated, getting his job back. Being able to direct the third movie without any problems or anything, on one condition, though. To me now that James Gunn didn't commit a crime, but he made these disgusting jokes, and it's here's the I believe that he needs to take a real sacrifice of his time to do something to help the victims of the real victims of the jokes that he was of the situations that he was making jokes about, the disgusting, awful, brutal, evil situations that he was making jokes about. Like, I know, like, he's not like I'm not trying to hold him to but I don't think he should lose his job. I'm not I see that he's changed his character, and I'm not gonna change my opinion. I know he's he's living a good man. Like right now in 2018, he's trying to live close to the best version of himself. However, it's like because of how much good and positivity these Guardians of the Galaxy movies have inspired, they have reached so far and so wide, and I guarantee a lot of people these movies help a lot of people in negative, awful, evil situations like the ones he was joked about. But now, the people that are fans of those movies and think that they have these movies as an outlet, as something to lean on, now they are faced with the realization that the person responsible for them was laughing and making jokes about the situation that they've gone through that ruined their life, that gives them so much pain and sadness. Like, now that's the truth they're confronted with. Now James Gunn has to own that. Sorry, like he needs. I'm not saying that every single Guardians fan, feels that way, but I'm guarantee that there's some that, have gone through those real situations and realize, wow, this guy making jokes. And I know he's changed, but it's out there now, it's public, it's something he did, and I believe that, it's now, I believe God made, God works in mysterious ways, and I believe that he wanted this path for James Gunn so he could help a lot of people like this. And he didn't commit a crime, so I'm not saying he owes community service or anything, but I just believe that with his responsibility as a director of these amazing movies that have done so much good and positivity, he owes it to the real victims of these real disgusting, awful situations that he was joking about. And I think he needs to do and he could just do what he can, sacrifice his time, sacrifice money, with his creative force, his force of good as a character, he could do a lot and really move mountains maybe for some of these people. But now that it's out there, that would be my condition to him getting to be reinstated and to be rocking and rolling again as the director. It's whatever. We're not gonna. It's just he's got to own it now. That's what I believe. Some people may believe that he doesn't owe anyone anything, but I believe that because of what these movies have meant to people and done, and just because of the good and positivity, that he owes it to these real victims. And that's why you don't make jokes about just everything. It's like, okay, you know what? When nobody so here, this is going to lead me to another point that I really wanted to address. It really was pissing me off in this. Like, people were trying to defend James Gunn in the aftermath, which I was happy to see. But they were also trying to defend the content of his jokes. They were trying to defend making those jokes. That is just, I cannot stand those people that think that everything is to be joked about. It's like, how can anybody find pedophilia or rape funny? Like, Oh, I just, I just don't get it. I don't understand how anybody could find that funny. And anytime, and obviously I've had, you've been around people that tell those kind of bullshit jokes, and you have to, and I mean, you either have a fist fight or you sit there and you do your ha ha ha, okay, I'm gonna go to this other conversation. And it's just like, I just don't understand how people could find that funny. It's like, for me, it's like when there's nobody, when there's no real people going through these situations anywhere, and when nobody anywhere has been raped and has and is and or anything, when that stuff doesn't, when nobody real people are going through that, yeah, okay, fine, then make your jokes, I guess, if you really want to, if that's the content you really want to joke about and spread around, it's like, okay, whatever. But I mean, when no real people are going through that, yeah, okay, then. But until then, you know what? Just keep your damn mouth shut and joke about things that could inspire happiness, real laughter, happiness, positivity. There are millions and billions of things to be joked about. You don't have to reach to those disgusting low gutter levels. It just pisses me off that people are trying to defend that, and it's. I just feel for anybody that was in a real situation that had to see this story and realize, and like go through those emotions that it's almost like a heartbreak. It's like, wow, I love these movies so much, and the guy that made them would have been making fun of me and thinking that awful thing that I went through and ruined. It's just that it's a joke to them. It's material for laughter. It's like that. I just feel for those people, and that's why I'm sure people get offended, triggered. It's like, I don't care. It's like I'll stand in front of those people that are hurt by this, the real victims, and I'll fight for them to the end. It's like I don't really give a damn if I'm the only one doing it. It's like I'm not, not everybody and everything is open to be joked about, and I'll stand in front of those things and those people till I have no breath in my lungs, my heart is no longer beating in my chest. And I don't really care if people want to make fun of that, offended by things. It's like, I don't care. It's like, I care more about those real people, those real victims, than I do your ability to joke about things. So, that's kind of where I stand on all that. And it's like, that's why this was such a tough situation, because knowing that James Gunn was the type of guy that at one point made those jokes, it's just like, oh man, like why? Like why? But you see that he changed his character to the point where he gave us like such the complete opposite of those jokes. So I mean, and the people that were bringing it to the front, the worst versions of themselves right now. Like it's just like, and I'm not gonna have my life or my emotions or anything dictated by those people. So it was just a really, really tough, awful, bad situation. But I think that James Gunn and Disney and everybody could make it right and really, really take a big step forward and open a pathway that would have not even existed. It would have just been business as usual if this hadn't happened. But this happened. If Disney gives realizes James Gunn obviously changed his character and brings him back into rock and roll with the third movie and everything, but they also make a really concentrated effort with money, time, energy, whatever, talent to help these people, not only the victims, but maybe to help stop these things from happening, to help these people help the investigators have more resources to stop these awful things from happening. So it's it's just there a lot of good could come of this if everybody just keeps a clear head and keeps a clear mind and just isn't afraid to allow, say, okay, this guy made a big mistake. He's clearly changed his character. We're gonna give him a chance. We're gonna give him a chance to move forward, and we're not gonna hold him. We're not gonna hold him to it his whole life to his one big mistake or his big mistake. So, I mean, it's not, he didn't commit a crime, so there's no real punishment that he needs. It's just that as a person that created these movies that are so great and inspired so much good and positivity, he has a responsibility to own this everything that happened and make it up for the people that are that are going to need it. I mean, I'm not saying everybody is, but there will be people, and it's just, the more people we can help, the better. So I think, as tough and awful as this situation is, a lot of good can come out of it. And excuse me, excuse me. A lot of good can come out of it, and I just really hope that that everyone just does the right thing and moves forward in the right way, which I believe is reinstating James Gunn, but making sure that he owns up and helps the real victims of the real awful, disgusting, evil situations that people unfortunately have to go through. So that's kind of so yeah, that's pretty. I'm pretty sure that's everything I had to say about James Gunn and that whole situation. So now going to move on to something that I don't usually talk about, but is kind of related, because the reason that this whole happened was because the people that were people that were supporting Trump wanted to take credibility away from one of the big voices against him. So they were digging into James Gunn Gunn's past to find this. But I want to talk. So one thing I don't normally talk about is politics, because it is all a bullshit puppet show put on by Satan and his Illuminati. It's and that's why. It's the system that we have to deal with. It's a system that we have in place. So we have to deal with it as is. And there's a way for good to come out of it, but it's almost impossible with the way they've set it up. But that's why I wanted to get into it, because it's just with so much going on. I mean, and here's the thing. I know that that's why it's just. On Twitter, I have a lot of people just watching this whole bullshit show of Trump does something and everyone talks about it, and just so many words about, and then nothing happens, and then Trump says something else and does something else, and rah rah rah, so many words, and then nothing happens. And it's like a business for everybody. It's big business. It's like people are like have become mainstream personalities because they talk against Trump, and they're on every show and everything. And like, it is just a bullshit show. That's why I don't talk about it or anything, but I feel I have to now because of everything going on, and I want to talk. And I just need to kind of put things out there about everything about politics, exactly how it is, and bring the truth to people a little bit. So but here's the thing: the party system that's in place in both. I'm just gonna kind of stick to talking about politics of Canada and the U.S. because that's what I'm most familiar with. The party system in politics is what allows Satan and his Illuminati to maintain their control on this version of society, and because here's the only chance that anyone has to becoming prime minister or president is to rise, to play the game and rise up through the ranks of one of the main parties and become the leader and get the nomination and get in there. And by that, and the things that you have to do to play the game and to kiss ass and to the deals you got to make and the things you got to do to help people and things you got to let slide. It's like that. It takes a good person and cuts them down, breaks them down, and by the time they rise up, they're a person that's been manipulated, and they're more towards the worst version of themselves. And some people are willingly moving towards the worst version of themselves. So it's but that's the reason why it's set up like that, because they have control of all the main parties. So it's like nobody can rise through the ranks, and a good person will never get through. And if they do, they'll make sure it's so tough. But that's why when we do get a good person that does rise through and is able to kind of fight against it a little bit, we gotta support them as much as we can. And Barack Obama, one of those good people that was able to rise up, and even though, and here's the because they're running the show, they have control. You have to do what. You have to let some bad things pass through. There's just no other way about it. However, if you're a good person, there's things you can do to, when the people want it, you can make good things happen and fight against it. And there's nothing that they can do. But here, that's the thing: the people have to want for it. The people have to ask for it. And I mean, you saw it in Barack Obama's second speech when he did not think he was getting elected that second time. I guarantee Satan and his Illuminati did not think he was getting elected that second term. That caught them big time off guard. So it was, but you saw it in his speech. He said it. He's like, if you guys want things done, you need to make noise. You need to say it. And he was basically coming out and saying, if you want good, like this second term, I'm not getting another one, so I can do a lot more good. And he did so many good things. I mean, you know, marijuana became legalized in places in the U.S. and under Barack Obama. Think about what happened, like what the war on marijuana, like cannabis, started in the U.S. and it's like, and they put me in jail for life for cannabis possession, and it's like, and it became legal there. Like that's so like things like that. It's like, but he said in his second speech, he's like, please, like, man, make your noise and I can do something. But because if he does something and if the people make noise about it and we want it and we say, and he does it and they go against it, people are all of a sudden going to be like, hey, like, we want this and you're not doing it, what's going on? Their hands are tied. That's why it's like, you know, they keep good men out of there. They don't want good men in there. Justin Trudeau, another good man. And look at the things that they have tried to do to discredit him. I mean, you know, he goes overseas to a trip and it has respect for a culture and country, and you know, and they dresses up in the gear that they give him, and then all of a sudden, then realize it's some big joke, and they're, you know, like, oh, look at him making a mockery of this. It's just like, oh man, trying to take credibility because Justin Trudeau is a guy that wants to do a lot of good, and if we make noise, he can push through and do a lot of good. But you know, it's, you know, look at Donald Trump, who is he doesn't want to be where he is. Trust me, it's like, but he is not. He has no backbone whatsoever to fight against these guys. He will do anything and everything that they want him to do. He will push no good forward. He is just scared to death. He wants out of the presidency as quick as possible, but he is the perfect puppet to be there. He'll do anything and everything, will not resist or fight against anything. So that's why you always hear him talking about, oh, we're going to end this 8-year thing, and oh, you know, I like what the president or what the guy in China did, how he said, no, now I'm the ruler forever. It's like, that was great. It's like, that's why you see things like that, because they don't want another chance of a good person getting in and you know, in another 4 years, or another 2 years. God, is it going to be that long? But it's but see, that's that's the big difference between a good person being in there and a bad person, and a person that's being closer to the worst version of himself. Like, no, like I said in my first video, no one's truly bad. Everybody's influenced by Satan and his demons, and you know, sometimes people have no chance from birth. Guys like Trump was never given a chance to be connected to God and Jesus. He was always immediately connected to, you know, like the wrong side. So it's just, but you see the difference between the good person and a bad person rising up. But that is what the party system is in place the way it is, to make sure that by the time anybody gets up there, they're either the worst version of themselves, or they're either the worst version of themselves, or they're the worst version of themselves and they don't even realize it. So it's so hard for a good person, and that's why we need to end it. We need to end the party system. And now it's so bad that it's not just about, you know, a good person not being able to rise up. They have actually got the general public to be supporting these parties like their sports teams. People will, it doesn't matter, like, people are like, I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, no matter what. It's like they don't care. It's like that's their identity now. That's what they're identifying in, and they're gonna just live and die by it. It doesn't matter what candidate they spit out, they're gonna vote for them. That there are certain exceptions. There are certain people that are so polarizing that they will get people to actually stay back from the polls. And this is why we're in the situation we're in with Trump. Hillary Clinton was such a polarizing candidate that that's the reason why Donald Trump is president right now. It's because the reason is because majority of people that were opposing Trump didn't want him as president, but they also wanted to be able to say that they did not vote for Hillary Clinton. So but I guarantee most people figured there'd be enough for Hillary to win, and they could stay home and say, "Oh, I'm glad Trump lost, but I didn't vote for Hillary." So that's what people wanted, and that's why we're in the situation we're in. Because and it sucks because sometimes in this party system you just have to vote for someone to keep somebody out, and that's really what people should have been doing. People should have been out to the polls to make sure Trump didn't get in, but Hillary was such a polarizing candidate for whether it was legit or not. There was lots of, her email stuff was just absolute garbage considering what's going on with the Trump administration, and and there was false flag. It's just, I'm not saying, but Hillary Clinton is certainly not all sunshine and rainbows. I know that, but but she was so polarizing that it actually got people to stay back from the polls enough to where Trump was able to get in. And but most of the time these days, it's a sports team. People are voting Republican. That's the problem. Why people you can't change these people's minds. It's like what that would be like. It's like a Chicago Bears fan trying to change a Packers fan's mind about being a Packers fan. It's like, no, they're not gonna. They want to be a Packers fan, so that's what they're gonna do. And people that identify with these parties, it's like that's what they want to be, and they're not going to change their mind, whether that brings out the worst parts of their character or the best. So it's both on both sides. That's why it's not like Democrats are good and liberals are good and NDP is good and conservative bad and Republican bad or whatever. Like that is like there's good and bad on both sides, and it's it is not. Like I said in the murder of Pope John Paul I video, it's a bunch of different factions fighting against each other, trying to gain control. There's no faction out there for true Christianity connected to God and Jesus that are a political party right now. So it's like it's all individual people that get into these parties and try to fight their way through and be a good person and do good things. But it's with the sports team mentality, it's just almost impossible. And it's even so bad that it was as soon as you say like, oh, I want this for society, I believe people should have this service and this should be paid for. Like you're not even talking about politics now. Oh, you're just a liberal. Oh, you're a Republican. Oh, you're a conservative. It's like they all of a sudden they automatically put you in that party, and that's like the I hate to say brainwash, but that's how they molded people to think. It's like you have to be part of what. Like, no, these political parties are like just because I believe that people deserve health care and this and that doesn't make me a socialist or a communist or whatever. It's like really like you can take a lot of the good from a lot of good ideas from these things and put them together, and man, we could have an amazing society. But it's like it's so bad that you just can't even talk about it, because as soon as you mention things, it's like, oh, you're this. They label you with these political parties right away, and it's just like you can't talk about it because it's a sport team. It's like trying to convince somebody not to be a fan of their favorite sports team. They don't want to hear it. Their ears are shut. Their brain is shut. There's just no conversation or debate there. And that's why it sucks and it's tough, because this is not sports. This is real life. These are real life services that are being cut off of people. For God's sake, this Trump administration got rid of a thing that helps people, grants for poor people having heat in the winter. What kind of the worst versions of people would be like, well, who cares? Whatever. I'm supporting the guy that's doing that. How could you? I can't put myself in those shoes. It's that kind of thinking is crazy to me, that you could be wanting to do that poor people having a grant so they could afford to have heat during the winter would bother you in any way, or you'd look at that as a way to save money by cutting it. It's just like, I can't. It's hard for me to put myself there. It's just It's just crazy. But and for someone. For someone like me, it's tough because like I support Justin Trudeau 100%, but I'm not a liberal. I do not blindly support the Liberal Party. It's like, I really wish we could change that about Canada. It's like, to vote for Prime Minister, I have to vote for the local Liberal candidate. It's like, what if I don't agree with this guy and what he's doing? It's like, but I have to vote for him to get the Prime Minister in. I wanted to vote for Justin Trudeau. It's like, that's who I was casting my vote for. I believe that he could make change, and he's the guy that if we made enough noise, he would make the good positive change where we need to make it. He showed that already. He's with what Trump has done with the immigration and stuff, and with the children and the cages and the families, and talk more about that, but everything like that, like, I'm sorry, like, and everything that they've done, all the services they've eliminated, all the disgusting, awful things that this administration has done, like, the U.S. is like, they're no longer the leader of the free world. Like, Donald Trump is not the leader of the free world. You gotta look at things right now, and Justin Trudeau is the leader of the free world, and he shows it. He's fighting for it. It's like, people don't want Canada to be Canada, man. It's like Justin Trudeau is trying to pledge money to help people all over the world, and that's what the leader of the free world does. He doesn't just, care about only his country. He cares about freedom all over the globe, and that's what Trudeau's been doing, trying to pledge money to these organizations and these countries. It's like, and you got these critics, why is he giving money to Africa? Why is he giving money to Iraq? Why is he giving money to It's like, shut the hell. These guys don't want Canada to be Canada. It's like, Canada is the Good Samaritan. Canada is the one that steps in and helps people. It's like trying to spread freedom to the whole world. Peace. Trying to spread peace. That's like money for services and things like that is going to help these people set up freedom and peace for regions and people that have never known it. It's like, that's Canada's role. That's why when people see the Canadian flag, it's positivity, it's smiles, it's love, it's hugs, it's everything. It's like, it's not going to be that way if it's just like, we only care about Canada. It's our problem, whatever. Sorry, not our problem. We only care about ourselves. It's like, that's not Canada. And that's why I love Justin Trudeau. He fights for the Canada that we really are, for helping people, for peacekeeping, for trying to do good. And so it's... right now, he is the leader of the free world, and people are fleeing from the U.S. to trying to get into Canada because of the awful the conditions that they're facing. Like, think about that. Like, the United States of America, that's supposed to have done so good and vanquished so much evil, is now perpetrating so much of the very evil that they've fought. So, like, how many were like, I don't even want to say, it breaks my heart to see what the U.S. has stepped back to, and what people have allowed, what it's been allowed to become, and how people can actually support it. It's like, making enemies of all your allies, and it's like Canada, we love the U.S. like a brother and a family, and we trade, and we share our scenery and our land. And then this guy is like putting tariffs and trying to create division, and it's just like, it's just disgusting and pathetic, and I can't believe, it just breaks my heart to see where the U.S. has stepped back to, but. It's just, it goes back. We need a system to where we have more options than these main parties, because it's not like it's just not, clearly it's not working. But we deserve more options. And okay, obviously you can't have just anybody, being leading the major countries like this. It is a huge, heavy responsibility. Making sure that things run smoothly. Like, millions of people depend on these countries running smoothly. And if the leader of the country is, some loser that has no idea what he's doing, and just hacks and slash and ducks and dodges and does whatever he wants without realizing that there's a ripple effect and an effect for everything that he does, and a consequence, these things are not going to continue moving forward, or everywhere. It's just like, So obviously it can't just be anybody. Anybody. There needs to be, things in place to, try to determine who the best candidates are to lead, and that are going to lead and be the best versions of themselves and lead us to the best version of the country. Because that's what life is all about. And that's what we have to demand that people be all about. Because it's just. There should be no other way, there should be no other goal in life but to be the best version of yourself and to build the best version of this world. I mean, what a great life we'll have if that's everybody's goal when we wake up every day. But, it's, but I'm just throwing ideas out there, brainstorming, because I'm, if I'm challenging the major political, the major political system, it's like I gotta have but I mean things, I think that requiring a high school and post-secondary education would be good. Now I'm not saying post-secondary like university. I'm saying post-secondary. I'm saying if you're a welder, that's your if you have high school and you took your welding course and you got all of your post-secondary education, that's education. And it's like people would go, oh, what do you mean? Like why couldn't a guy a welder, why couldn't a mechanic be the prime minister of Canada? It's like there's some of the best people I've ever met have been, working in the trades like that or working in normal jobs. Some of the people that have the best, most innovative ideas for good and trying to bring the best out of people in this world have been in just, regular old jobs. It's like, but a lot a lot of those people, some of them just have high school, some of them have some kind of post-secondary. And to me, that's like that should be one of the requirements, and not just post-secondary as if you went to college, university, and studied some credible, as long as it's credible, for like student loans and things like that, as long as it passes the checks like that. I mean, not your buddy's basement or whatever, but I mean, as long as it's post-secondary education, legit, I think that I see no reason why that anybody with those credentials couldn't start to be a candidate. But I think that should be other things as well. Looking at the record of serving the community. I mean, have you put in some time to? I mean, it doesn't have to be volunteer. I mean, have you coached your kids sports teams? Have you gone out for? Have you helped with fundraisers? Have you helped done things in the community? And the bigger the record, the more it's like, well, this person has proved that they've gone out and done good in the community without, just as themselves. So it's that's definitely a quality that you'd want in somebody leading the country. So you look at their record into serving their community, and you look in into the history of their content, into the content of their character. Now, like I say, I'm not saying that you hold somebody to one mistake for the rest of their life, but I mean, it's just you have to look at it. There's no real general rule you can apply. It's going to be a case by case basis. What happened? What did this person do? What was the negative content in their character that we're looking at? And see how that works with things. If somebody repeated the same mistake over and over, maybe they're not fit to be a leader. Like, I mean, there is something to say where some people, just some versions of themselves may not be fit because, once you've done something once, it's way easier to do it again. Like, that's just the case. So it's, but I'm saying, you can't hold somebody to one mistake their whole life. So really, it's a case by case basis. You have to look at everything. And I mean, there would be lots of factors, but those are the three things that I just, starting off brainstorming. I was challenging this, so I figured I should throw out some ideas, and that would be my three credentials to having somebody go through the process, at least being able to enter the process of becoming a candidate for prime minister. I mean, you can't have thousands of people doing it. There has to be a way to narrow it down. So it's, but I think there's a better way than just having these main political parties, because it really is a garbage system when you break it down and look at it, and you realize how it can and has and is being manipulated. So but those are kind of my three three things that might help might help give us better, more and more candidates, better candidates to leading, because you need all three. Somebody has to be educated. They need to be smart. You have to realize, you have to show that you can learn, and like learn a skill, learn something new, and that's a leader definitely needs to be of intelligence and be able to show that they can learn from things, learn from mistakes, and going through high school, successfully going through high school and post-secondary education would definitely demonstrate those. Excuse me. And but but like if we just are able to figure out a system by because oh yes, sorry, I almost lost my track, almost lost it, got off track. But a leader needs to be educated and smart, obviously. They need a leader needs to be engaged in the community. A leader needs to be involved, like needs to have a desire to help people every day. And it's and the more of an example that somebody sets of that, the better the better leader I think that they would make. So looking at sacrifice of time and energy into your community, I feel would be another big quality that a candidate should have, and it is important for a candidate to have. And the third one, that has to be a good person, because if a good person's not in there, they're not going to do good things. And look at what has happened and what is happening with Trump in the U.S. right now. Like, Trump is clearly the worst version of himself, and he has no fight in him against these guys, and is allowing anything and everything to happen. So it's you need to be a good person. You have to be a good person to be a leader, and looking at making sure that whoever it is has looking into the history of their content of character is one of the biggest, really important points. So that's why those three things I think would really help give us much better options than we have right now. But if we're just back to what I was gonna say after I almost lost my train of thought there. But if we can figure it all out, if we can figure out a system to how to determine candidates, to how to narrow down candidates to a field that can be a proper field that can be voted on, that can properly determine a leader of a country. If we can figure that out in a better way, like this, and we will have such a better world. And I think that's how we'll be able to move forward and create the best version of this world. Because with these political parties and this system, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. But if we create another system where we just make sure that good, smart people that care about people and care about the community and care about the world, it's like if we get those people into power and as leaders, then it's just going to be nothing. It's going to be the best version of life. And once we get there, we're not going to be able to fathom how we allowed ourselves to live in this this negative just this negative world that we're not going to fathom how we lived in this world so long once we get to the best version of it. But I think that changing the system to something like this is the way, and if we figure it out, we'll definitely be able to get there. But one other important thing is that when people in power show that they are unfit to lead through the consequences of their decisions, there needs to be avenues to remove them from power. And because look at with what's going on in the U.S. and Trump right now, this is beyond ridiculous. This is beyond out of control. And right now people are just like, oh well, hey, what can you do with 2 years left? We voted him in, so he's killing kids, he's separating families, he's putting people in cages, he's taking basic services away from Americans. He's giving taxpayer money back to the rich people. He is just like doing all these things. Like, man, what can we do? We voted him in. It's like, this is just beyond insane. It's like at this, and this is how you. It's Okay, sorry, but um, it's but it's just ridiculous. I mean, there needs to be checks and balances in place to be like, okay, this guy's making bad decisions and he's literally attacking major groups of people in the country, and it's like he's not in the best interest of the country. He doesn't have the. I mean, look, he's basically like Russia basically helped him get elected by like influencing voters through Facebook and these data mining companies, and trying to just do all kinds of other nefarious things. And I mean, and the people are actually supporting this. It's like, which is ironic because most of the people doing it, most of the people supporting Trump and not caring about Russia are like the children, or even the same people that in the 80s were all gung-ho, Russia is evil, and that's why all bad guys in wrestling were Russian, and all bad guys in action movies were Russian, and then got to the 2000s and it became all bad guys in action movies were terrorists and Arab, because that's the focus they want to shift to. So it's like that's why I just find it so ridiculous, because it's like the same people supporting Trump and not caring about the Russian influence and the Russian things like that. It's like these guys are and I hate to throw out Russian. I just want to say just throw out Russian because I feel so bad for the good Russian people who have never lived without these scumbags just crushing them. And like Russia is such a great country with so much great scenery and so many great people. And it's just they're always held down by this. And it's like it's not the Russian people that are doing this. It's the scumbags that are in control. But it's like, I just wanted to clarify that. But I hate to throw out the term Russia and have everyone think that's what they want. They want to create division because they know it's like a small group of people doing this, but they want the main everybody else to hate each other and to be divided. But I'm definitely not going to be me. Like I said, I see it for what it is. But it's but that's where that's where they are. So that's the easiest way to explain it. But yeah, that's why I thought it was so ridiculous, because those same people are like the generation, the same family, and in some cases probably the same people that were like all just red invasion, this and that, and it's just like now they're like opening the door for it and like helping them control the U.S. It's just like, wow. It's just like I just can't, like, how did people that get to the point where they lack intelligence, where they can't even see that? Like, it's like that's why they attacked the education system so much. It's like that's why they kept taking money from it. That's why they kept just like taking like overcrowding schools, and they never paid teachers what they're worth, and they're constantly attacking the family, so kids can't focus on things at home, and they can't properly focus at school, so it's just like it's just like that's why they did all that, so they can create people that just aren't like, they're, when I say aren't intelligent enough, like these people aren't stupid, they can be intelligent if they want, but it's just like I don't know how people got to the point where they can't see that what you're supporting, what you're actually doing. But it's just like things like that, like it is. I just like look at what Bill Clinton got removed from the presidency for, and it's like all the things that has gone on with this Trump presidency, and it's just like it's just every day you hear, oh, this is the thing, Trump, this is the thing that'll bring Trump down, this is the thing, this is the thing, this is the one. Nothing ever happens. It's all bullshit. It's all garbage. It's all just a dog and pony show. Like I said, it's just it is. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But the worst thing is like these reports. Not only are they separating families, but it's like in the United States of America, they got. A child has died because of the conditions because of the conditions they received and the treatment they received in trying to enter the United States of America. Whatever illegally, shut your mouth. We dealt with this for years and years and years and years without doing this to families and killing kids. But here's the thing, they just toss out like, oh, here's this amount of kids have been separated. And then they just casually toss out this number that like, oh, and this amount of kids have been sexually assaulted. It's like, what? What the hell? I mean, like, they just toss it out like it's random, like it's just, this is something that happens like normally. It's like, yeah, like anytime a group of people comes in together, people are just going to be sexually assaulted. Like, what the hell is happening that as soon as children are brought together in a group, like, who do these people have working for them that they just like immediately have kids brought in and all of a sudden it's just like predators just descend in immediately? Like, what is happening? Where are these facilities? What is going on here? Like, this is just, I can't believe, and people are talking about it on the news, just throwing out it like this not the most like insane, evil, most disgusting thing they've ever heard in their lives. It's just like they just throw this number out there, and it's like I don't understand how every police officer within 100 miles is not just on their doorstep kicking it in, ready to deliver law and order to there. And like, what are they doing? Are they investigating each and every individual sexual assault? Are they doing things to prevent this? Are they bringing these people to justice and throwing them in jail that are doing this? Are they making like, what is going on? Like, I just when I like throwing out the like it was like 100, like, I mean, the number was not small of sexual assault cases. So it's like, what are these predators like? And I mean, it's just I just can't. I mean, these children are being separated. I think you're seeing things like children are being brought into court, like 2-year-olds, and I mean, like, just makes me fucking sick. It just makes me sick that nobody is doing anything, and then people are acting like this is something that goes on. Little kids being led into the courtroom to defend themselves. Like, I just can't understand how anybody that I just don't. But that's how you know that I'm right about all this dog and pony show, this puppet show, that it's all bullshit, that Satan and his Illuminati, it's all real. Go back and look at the video, watch the breakdown of how it all works. It's all in there, and it's all true, and you can see it, because look at this stuff going on. People aren't doing anything about it. They're just talking about it. They're just talking about it. Trump does something, they talk. Trump talk, like, it's just nothing happens. And it's like, if this was real, people would be doing something about this. Like, sexual assaults like this are not normal. Like, the stuff that they're reporting is not normal. Kids going into courtrooms like this is not normal. People would not, judges would be walking out. Like, lawyers would be like, this is not, like, no, like people would, but, and I mean, the people that are talking about this so much, they'd be doing something about it. No, it's big business, man. I tell you, people talk against Trump, they get lots of Twitter followers, they get lots of views on their videos, they get lots of views when they go on TV shows and radio shows. It's big business. People support Trump, oh, big controversy. Now everyone has something to talk about. That's why it's always something. Nothing ever gets done. Nobody's ever, because there's nobody, like, there is, like, it's, who are you going to report to? It's just, like I say, that's how you know it's all real. Nothing ever gets done. It's all happening. I mean, and they're talking about this disgusting, evil stuff like it's normal, and I just can't talk about it because I just get too fired up and too heated up. Because, I mean, these are children. I mean, these are children coming to the U.S. to try to find a better life, and it's like, and I mean, like, you don't understand. Like, some people just don't get what these immigrants are running from. It's like the violence and death and the literal hell that they had to live in. It's like, you just don't get it. And like, you hear about this place that could give you a little taste of the best version of life. You think when these people get here, it's all sunshine and rainbows? No. It's like, I mean, people act like immigrants are taking jobs, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they're not. It's like, the old like these employers cut down the wages and the benefits so much that people that grow up in America and Canada and stuff, they don't want to do these jobs. So the only people that they can get are the foreign workers that they bring in, and that's why you think that, you know, I just like, I hate that the you know, getting off topic, but I hate the minimum wage discussion, because it's always like, you know, fast food workers should make more. It's like, oh yeah, so it's like they should make almost as much as the guy, you know, like doing pipes and, or like you know, high on like doing like high up construction and stuff. It's like, well, did you ever think that maybe the other guy doing the harder, maybe harder job, a more dangerous job, should be paid more? Maybe his wage should go up. So if we raise minimum wage, maybe we should raise the wage for these other trades and skills, because they are actually really dangerous but really important, and we need them, and they should be benefited from it, and be able to have maybe a higher quality of life when they're off of work, so that it's easier to them to, you know, justify coming to work. It's like, that's why the old minimum wage discussion just always drives me nuts. It's like, just like fast food workers do deserve more. Have you ever worked that job? I have. It sucks. It's hard. It's thankless. It's like you do the same thing. And I mean, it's like there's no appreciation. No one's ever being like, wow, man, that was the best cheeseburger I ever had. Gone. Lots of time it's in drive-through or whatever. It's just like, it's a thing, and it's harder than you think. It's like, it's not hard like back-breaking labor, but to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and fast sometimes. It's like, you know, in rush hour, it's like you don't have time to sit there and dilly-dally. It's like they had to take my ass off the line because I couldn't do it fast enough. It's like my brain, it's just like, and it's like, I'm not getting into that, but it's like they took my ass off the creation line because it's like I just wasn't fast enough. But it's not as easy as you think, and but that's the thing. They deserve more, but just because they deserve more, it's like, hey, don't be like, oh, well, now they make just as, like, hey, maybe let's bump up their wage too, because they deserve it. So it's like, that's why. But sorry, I got a little off topic there. But it's you know, and but you know, it goes back to what I talked about in the Pope John Paul I video. It's like I broke it all down, and you know, like I'm sure some people didn't believe me. I'm sure some people don't believe me talking now, but it's like you just look at it and you see it for what it really is. And when you look out in the real world and you know, these things I'm bringing out, examples, and you don't have to just look at me. Look out. There's lots of examples that you know, prove this stuff is real, but it's excuse me. It's multiple factions, you know, working for the same person, Satan. Satan and his Illuminati, it all goes back to Satan. And, you know, but some of the, like, not everybody knows that. Like I said in the video, not everyone knows that it goes back to Satan. Some people think that they're doing good, that they're on the good side, but they're actually, you know, just part of the same shit, just a different pile. But it's okay, but you know, for right now, it's that's why it's important to, you know, support guys like Obama and Trudeau, and you know, because with the system we have now, it's like when we actually get a good man that gets through, that's willing to do some good things, we have to support him, make as much noise as possible for the things that we want, and you know, we'll be able to, you know, get closer to the best version of this world. And it's you know, but obviously it's going to be tough because they'll be fighting to keep it till, you know, tooth and nail. But you know, we're stronger, we can fight harder, and you know, good will always overcome. So that's really enough about politics. I've gone long. You know, talked about. I don't usually like to talk about it because it's all, you know, it's just a bullshit puppet show. But you know, so I just really kind of felt that sometimes I gotta at least address it and throw some things out there. So with this video of talking about things around planet Earth, I just wanted to mention that. So move on from politics. Moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about. Oh, sorry, just one sec. Get a little drink. Thank you. So next thing I wanted to talk about is talk a little bit about the Humboldt Broncos. Everything kind of going on about in the aftermath of that awful tragedy. But so they're always on, always on my mind and my prayers, my daily prayers. I'll mention them every day, and it's I know it's just because time passing does not make it any easier. So I know that it's definitely been a tough go for the survivors and all the families and everything like that. But one thing that was one big step forward that needed to be taken that finally took was kind of figuring out what happened and laying responsibility. And looks like the RCMP found that they did have enough evidence to move forward with the charge, and they did charge the driver of the semi truck. And given the facts that were out about the case and the fact that they moved forward with the charge, I mean, it looks like that they believe that the semi driver knowingly decided to run the stop sign, and that's why they're able to move forward with the charge. But and so that's kind of what I believed happened once I was able to take some of the pieces together and put them. It seems like the driver just decided he was going to blow the stop sign, and obviously was not thinking about what the consequences would be of running stop signs, especially in a big packed loaded semi trailer. And fortunately it was the absolute worst of consequences for it. But that's why so in the aftermath, people are calling for more, really calling for more safety regulations at the intersection, and I think that there should be more focus on safety on other things, because the intersection had flashing lights, it had a stop sign, and if people are knowingly deciding to run stop signs, no amount of safety measure. I don't say no amount, but how much safety measures are really going to matter if somebody's choosing to break the law? So it's kind of tough on that. However, but the thing is, if I guess the main focus kind of would be the trees, and a lot of people are advocating to cut down the trees so that there is some sight lines, because right now you can't see what's coming from either way, either the highway going this way or the highway coming across. So it's so a lot of people are advocating to cut the trees down there, and so it's kind of tough for me because I love trees. I know what trees do for humans and the environment and things like that. So I always I never want to cut down any tree, but but I think in this case it might be the way to go, because even though when you're putting in safety precautions, if people choose to break the law, it's not going to matter. However, if these trees weren't there, both the semi and the bus would have been able to see the oncoming. Both would have been able to see each other. Whereas with the trees there, they couldn't, and they didn't. So if those sight lines were available, maybe the truck driver doesn't decide to run the stop sign and decides to slow down and stops if he sees that a bus is there. Or maybe the bus driver, Glenn Dirksen, as he's coming up and sees the speed of the semi, maybe decides to slow down a little bit, seeing that the semi's not going to stop for the stop sign. So that's that's kind of where I think I agree. Even though as much as it kills me to cut down trees, we're talking about lives here, and 16 lives were just tragically taken from us, and it's worth more than any bundle of trees, absolutely. So, and in this case, I think that safety precautions would be a good focus in this one case as it pertains to the trees. And it's because I just think that if the trees weren't there, it might it might keep people from making a reckless decision that would cost lives, because this is not the first tragic accident at that intersection. There was another one, I believe, in the 80s, and I think it was the same thing. The car chose to run the stop sign, and somebody was coming at the same time and hit them, and everybody in the vehicle died. And so it was, and this was the same thing. Someone chose to run this stop sign, and obviously the tragic bus crash happened. So so I think if those trees weren't there, then people might not make those reckless decisions to not obey the stop sign. But if they do decide to cut them down, I don't think they should just cut them down and not worry about it. That's not a good legacy. It's not a legacy you want, or any of them. And I mean, one of the kids, Adam Harold, was pretty was already worried about the environment and maintaining like the wetlands, Saskatchewan wetlands and stuff, because he's into hunting, and he saw a lot of it, and he saw the deterioration and what it was meaning for some of the wildlife and the conditions for the environment. So he was already caring about it. So we want the legacy. So I just think that either if we can't maybe try to transplant the trees, and get some maybe fundraise if you have to, or if they have the money to do that. But or if anything, if you have to cut them down, at least make sure all the wood and stuff goes to good, but then replant the same amount of trees in another area, or even more, or like another 16 more, 29 more, however many more. I just think that I think it's the right idea to get rid of those trees, because it'll keep people from making those reckless decisions that have been costing lives. And it's one is too many, and it's obviously there's been more than one now, so it's just but I think that just to keep with their legacy that they would have wanted, I think to either transplant the trees, or just cut them down, use the wood for good, and replant trees elsewhere, and maybe make it an annual thing. There's never enough trees in this world, and trees are definitely with everything going on with the weather and stuff, and the forest fires, it's they're definitely taking their, a lot of our forests have taken a pretty good beating. So it's but I do think that it would be the right decision to move forward on moving the trees, because I think that people have made reckless decisions at that intersection, and having better sight lines would keep people from making those decisions. And really, that's, I mean, what more can you do at the intersection? There's a flashing light that's way before that says stop sign coming up. So it's other than rumble strips are not going to help if somebody's choosing to run the stop sign. So other than putting a speed bump before there, I guess that could be an idea. Put a speed bump before there to make sure, but I don't know what the effect of big heavy semi-trailers and speed bumps are, if they can even go over them. So I don't even know if that would be an option, but I just think that probably the best thing to focus on as far as that intersection would be getting rid of the trees, but transplanting them, or cutting them down, and replanting as many and more somewhere else. But safety regulations for buses going forward, definitely another story, because seatbelts probably need to be mandatory. Trust me, I've been on buses, traveling, with teams and for events and things like that, and I know that they're ridiculously cramped even without being strapped into a seatbelt. But man, if they determined that seatbelts could have saved even one of those kids' lives, then things need to be changed, because it's if everybody was strapped in, maybe some people survive more. It's just if one more person would have survived, it would have been worth it. So it's and I know you're not going to have you're not running into situations like this crash every single day, but as this crash showed, anything could happen at any time, and you want to do, when it does happen, it's the worst thing ever. So you want to do everything that you can leading up to that moment to avoid it at all costs. So adding seatbelts in to these buses, immediately is the thing to do. And obviously it's a big cost to taking on a big cost for these bus companies. So, let's get them some help. Maybe they can get, like provincial help, federal help for, like let's fundraise then. Like I don't know what to tell, but it's like, like I guess they've already been talking about it and they've set a date for 2020, but and after this happened, they were considering moving it up, but decided, that not to for whatever reason. But it's, I just, these, the hell that these families are going through. It's like, it's worth it to take the necessary steps to do whatever it takes to move forward and get seatbelts on these buses if they're going to save lives. So it's, I just think that we got to do it's worth it to do what it takes to move forward with this initiative. And I mean the bus, it would be a big expense. So let's work together on this, because we all work together to support the families and support everybody in the aftermath of the crash. Came together to raise all that money to get to the family, which is crazy that they haven't gotten it yet. Because it should be pretty. I think it should be pretty simple. I mean, pay, just obviously you need to pay all the administration stuff and make sure that everything is taken care of, and it's but I mean, at some point it's like 29 families. You have to split it 29 ways, and I mean, some people are gonna, some people have more expenses than others, so you can just sit down together and figure out who's. Maybe some families don't need as much, or want to donate some to some other families to help them out with their costs and things going forward. So I mean, it's this doesn't need to be a long drawn out process. Like, let's just come together, figure it out. Like, there's a chunk of money. 29 families were involved, so let's get nobody's being selfish or or about any of this money. I don't think it's like this was come together, as people trying to help these families and survivors, and just everybody get through and move forward. So it's just 29 ways, and everybody can figure out who needs more, who is okay with less, and then let's get let's get this stuff to these families, so they've gone through enough that, like, I'm sure the stress and worry and stress of this money. I mean, we're human beings. We're always jumping to the worst case scenario, and every second these families don't have it, I'm sure they're thinking like, oh, are we ever going to get it? Are they going to try and is someone going to try and steal it from us? That's $15 million. I mean, Satan and his demons are definitely influencing people to try and get their hands into it. But it's like, it's really very simple to me. It's like 29 families. Let's all get together and figure out who needs a little more and who's okay with a little less. So, and I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be the only chunk of money we as society are able to donate to this cause and other causes through that. I mean, it's, as awful as this tragedy is, everybody is going to make sure that it helps way more people than, that were immediately affected by it, because it's like the kids that are going to be able to play hockey and have equipment because of this, the kids, the guys that are going to keep being able to live their dreams, and like the kids that are going to be the hockey players that are going to be safe on buses, and just the scholarships that are going to go out, and the scientists that are going to be created, and it's just like like the pilots, and it's just like the legacy is going to spread out so far and wide. But I guarantee it's not going to be the last chunk of money that we're able to donate to these families to help them deal with the struggles and help them move forward. But it's just if we work together, I think we can really help these these bus companies get better safety regulations on these buses, and and get the money to these families, because it's the fact that they haven't seen any of it now, and that they're just talking about authorizing $50,000 payments. It's like come on, let's get this show on the road here. It's like it doesn't have to be this complicated, I don't think. But there has been some great, awesome news to see. It has been awesome to see Ryan Strasnitzky back on the ice. It was just, man, I can't say how happy that made me to see that video of him getting on the ice with the sledge hockey with the sledge hockey guys, and it's like, man, he is gonna. I can see it. I can feel he's gonna be a force for Team Canada and sledge hockey. And man, how many? It's like, I think, he is going to be able to bring a lot more eyes to the sledge hockey game, because that's why, I mean, even though this was an awful tragedy, it's like, who knows? It's like, through his influence and bringing the attention and people wanting to support, like, not only will the Olympic team get more eyes and support, but who knows? Maybe we'll get a little, sledge hockey professional league going here. So it's I think that was such an awesome thing to see, and I mean, he's got so much support and so many eyes on him that it's just. I think it's just not only is gonna be great. He obviously loved the ice and loved hockey. It's great, for him to be able to do what he loved to do, especially after what he went through. But it's to be able to maybe bring the sledge hockey game to another level, like that could be a pretty cool thing. So that was just a really awesome, great moment. And I mean, it's not even a year after the tragedy. He's already rocking and rolling back on the ice. So that's just, that is just incredible. It's so awesome to see. And I mean, continuing with all the other boys that are still playing and still getting her done on the ice, getting their opportunities with colleges and other teams. It's just incredible that these guys have been able to not only pick themselves up after, not only the physical toll the tragedy would take, but just the mental and just the emotional toll, but pick themselves back up and move forward in the game that they love, and just keep really be able to tap into the strength that all the boys in Dana are, I know that they're trying to give them with their souls. And it's like, it's so awesome to see. And we're all going to be supporting on you. We're supporting you and checking in on you guys for life. So it's been awesome to see everyone continue being able to move forward, and not only just move forward, but be able to still do what they love to do. So really just sending as much love and prayers and great blessings to keep you safe, and just keep you safe and happy and healthy as you continue your hockey journey. And also just my strongest prayers of love, strength, happiness, healing, positive energy, perseverance, hugs, just all the positive, good energy out to all the families out there dealing with this. I know it's an awful struggle, and I mean, some days it probably just seem like things are never going to get better, but it will. I mean, it'll never. I'd say it'll never be okay. Like, you'll probably never be okay with it, but it's like you'll be able to accept it and be able to move forward. Like, being okay with it and accepting it and moving forward is a little bit of a difference. And it's like, because that's it's not that, obviously I've never gone through anything similar, but I mean, I lost my cousin who I was very close to and loved very much and missed very much in a tragic, she was killed in a tragic car accident when I was a teenager, and it was, and there was a lot of anger and a lot of things surrounding that, and but the thing that helped me was just, I was never gonna be okay with what happened, but I just got to a point where I was able to accept what happened, that it was what it was, and I had to accept it. I'm never going to be okay with it, and but I was able to accept it and move forward, and that really kind of just took a weight off me and was able to let me breathe a little bit. And it's not. I mean, it was, I'm not everybody. I know it's not the same thing, but it's just like, just know that a day will come when it will be a little bit easier to take that step forward and to open your eyes in the morning, and it will, but it's just, I just want to send my strongest love and positive, good energy out to just all the families, everybody, all the boys, and just everybody involved, and just God bless you all. And okay, so moving on to another topic. So I want to talk a little bit about the weather. It seems like we've been having a global heat wave that's been going on. It's definitely been going on around here because we finally got a little bit of rain this weekend. Of course, when the X is on, people are trying to celebrate and have fun. Like, excuse me. Could have rained any other few days, and that would have been great. But no, it has to save it for the X. It always seems to work out that way. But it really sucks for the farmers always going through this. Last year we went through a brutal heat, brutal dry spell. This year we're going through another one. Not as bad as last year, I don't think, but still awful. And it's just like, we in every year it's just like everyone just like, yeah, well, it happens. What are we gonna do? It's like I really feel like we need to be focusing on new initiatives and innovations to try and combat problems like these, not just accepting it like, yeah, well, it happens. Like, why are we not trying to do things just to collect more, to do more to collect water so that when we go through dry spells, we have more water to use for farming and stuff like that. I mean, you can't, it's hard to collect and hold on to water and keep it fresh for like drinking and stuff like that, but stuff like farming and and other things like that, like you can hold on to, you can use water like that, and it's you're able to use it for things like that, and it's it doesn't affect it in the way that it does like drinking it and stuff. So it's but we need to have more of an initiative and just trying to be doing more to figure out just how to, I don't know, maybe to figure out how to create moisture, to create water, to collect it ourselves, and then distribute it out to farmers that way. But I mean, farming is our lifeblood. It's pretty important, like having food and stuff like that. So, it just drives me nuts every year when it's just like, oh well, dry spell. It's like I can't wait for the year where it's like, yeah, it's a dry spell, but it's like, thanks to this invention or this initiative, it's like the farmers don't have to worry about it at all because they've got tons of reserves to whatever. So it's like I want to see more initiative and innovation to figuring out so that this is not a problem. It's like, because it's it's I mean, it's just ridiculous to me that we still have people that think that climate change is not real. Like, I mean, I saw somebody writing into the Leader post, I think last week, that was talking about climate change is not real. It's just blah, blah, blah. It's like, you are insane, pal. It's like, I get it. It's not like exactly what they're trying to present it to us, but it's like climate change is real. We can make it worse, and we should be doing everything we can not to be speeding it up and to be making it worse. And it's like, but I mean, it's and then people are always like pointing to, oh well, it gets really, really cold, so how can it be global warming? Or it's like we it's been this hot before, so it's like it couldn't like the climate's not changing. It's like this is normal. It's like like look at the extreme weather that we've experienced. Look at some of the changes in the ecosystems and the environments that have taken place in some areas. It's like climate is changing, and I mean climate is going to change whether we want it to or not. Absolutely. You look at the history of the planet and at what we're able to determine. That's life. The climate's going to change whether we want it to or not. But we can help normalize it. We can help not keep it from getting really, really bad. We can definitely help from not speeding it up. But that's the thing, that's where it comes to the sort of thing like moving away from fossil fuels and moving towards renewable energy. But I'm going to get to that in a second. But one thing I wanted to mention is it is a conspiracy topic. Ooh, I mentioned that big word, conspiracy. So it's but this is one of the ones where I don't know much about. But one of the ones I really hope is not real. That I really hope is not like. I really hope this one's not real. But this is the conspiracy involving a thing called HAARP, HAARP, and HAARP is this like crazy big equipment thing That's there's a bunch of them, but I think one is in Alaska. There's one in like North Dakota or something like that. But it's like all this crazy looking equipment, and it's like apparently it's designed to help influence and control the weather. And like a bit on the good part of it, they'd say like, oh, it's supposed to help. It's supposed to. It was designed and created to help regions that had a drought, to try and maybe influence the atmosphere to creating conditions where it would rain. But the conspiracy is the scumbags have control of it, so they control it to influence weather to only be negative. So they influence droughts, they influence floods, they influence things like that. So it's hurricanes that wouldn't be 2s or 3s get influenced to 4s or 5s, and things like that. So that's one I hope is not real, because I hate to say it's not fair, because it's like, but I mean it's just that's like that's just a violation of rules of fighting, of combat, it's a violation. It's like having a fist fight, having a one-on-one fight with someone while their hands are cupped behind their back and their feet are cupped together. It's like, I mean, it's like, that it's like chemical warfare and things like that. It's just, I mean, there's no, to me that's a violation of just, there's no other word for it. It's a violation, and I really hope that they're not able to influence the weather and use weather as a weapon like that. Like, that would just be too much for me, but no, that's why we have to keep moving forward, and we have to just not give up, and we have to, we have to stay connected to God and Jesus so we can stay on His path, and we can, because His path will lead us to being the best version of ourselves, to bringing down Satan and his Illuminati, and bringing the best version of his world. So we just have to keep going. But it's I just man, if I if I find out that they really did use HAARP to influence weather negatively and things like that, like that would make it very tough for me to turn the other cheek if they come back, because I mean that is just like, to knowingly do that to your fellow human beings and to good innocent people, that is just like such a, but that's what the influence of Satan and his demons will do. So that's why it's so important for us to defeat them and to stay away from them. It's not a joke, it's not anything to play around with, but people do it all the time, and fortunately they find out the hard way. So it's we just got to ask Jesus to give as much power and strength as He can to the Archangel Uriel, who He tasked to help us with helping with the weather. So I mean, we just, these guys, like I said in my earlier video, Satan and his Illuminati, his demons, they use all the weapons they have on the occult witchcraft side. One of our weapons on the good side is to ask Jesus to give strength to the archangels to help us. So, hopefully they're, if they are influencing the weather, we can use our influence to kind of balance it out, because some of these areas are definitely need help with the global heat wave going on. So hopefully things are able to turn around. But I really hope that's not true. But it's something that's out there. These stations, these places, HAARP things do exist. So it's whether you believe that whether you believe it or not. So I mean, but I hope it's not true. And that kind of leads me into talking about energy, and that's where I was talking about, we need to, as a planet, we need to be moving away from fossil fuels and non-renewable energy and moving towards renewable energy. But still, we're a society that is dependent on fossil fuels and non-renewable energy. But so one thing that happened recently is Canada bought that Trans Mountain pipeline that had so much controversy, and that it wasn't get built. Now I'm going to fully admit I don't know the ins and outs of this whole deal and everything like that. But to me, all I see is that Canada regained control of our resources, and one of our best, most powerful resources, and that's oil. Like, now Canada owns this big pipeline and this big, this oil and this company. So it's like, to me, I see that as a great day. To me, anytime Canada owns our own resources is a great day. And you know, I don't, like obviously I have no I'm not sure how everything works. It's probably not even possible, but I just really would love to see the Canadian government not sell it to anybody. Just, you know, create a division of government to run this thing, and instead of the profits going into the pockets of private to private people, the profits go right back into the Canadian economy. They go into our infrastructure, and they go into our hospitals, and they go into our schools, and they go into our, you know, maybe giving us giving Canadians a little bit of it back in tax rebate as a gift. So it's like making our going back into the Canadian economy. Like to me, that's the best case scenario. The Canadian government owns this pipeline, this oil, and all the profits that it generates goes back into Canada. Like, and all of our services, all of our infrastructure gets all this money, and our resources work for our own people in our own country. Like how now, you know, how much we could use the profits to end all of these boil water advisories on all the reserves. Like, think of, like, let's not sell it to anybody. Like, to me, I mean, obviously, you know, you got, you know, like a government owning a business. I get that that's like against the blah, 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 blah. But whatever, man. We're rocking the boat here. We're changing the system. So if Canada owning its own oil, like owning this pipeline and rocking and rolling with it would pump, you know, millions, if not billions back into our economy, that would be an amazing thing. If it could help end these boil water advisories, I mean, we need to do it, because it is wrong that anybody has to live under those conditions, especially in a country that's as well advanced, and I mean, it's leading the free world like Canada. So we need to step up, and, you know, just, it's, you know, like, I mean, to me, that's the best case scenario for all this pipeline talk. But, you know, if they do end up selling it, which they probably will, hopefully it goes into a Canadian company, Canadian owned, whatever, so that Canadian people get the benefits, and Canadian people can put it back, put their investments and this, you know, the money off of this, put it back into Canada and our economy. So it's, you know, I mean, I hope that is my hope for all these things. I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's just, you know, to me, when I saw it, I was just like, you know what, I saw lots of people saying, oh, it's a bad thing, this is blah, 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 but I mean, to me, it's like, man, Canada now owns our own resources, and, you know, we have the ability to distribute it through this pipeline. I'm not down with pipelines. I don't think we should be putting pipelines through our drinking water and through our, you know, and I don't think we should be putting pipelines through sacred land, and I don't think we should be, you know, like, just not caring about people's, you know, things like that. Like, I mean, however, you know, oil is, we definitely need oil to be used in our society. We shouldn't be depending on it as much as we are, but we still need to use it. We need to transport it. So, I mean, like, but now we have the ability to do it, and that's just, to me, it seems like a good thing. But as I said, you know, also, we as a planet need to be moving away from fossil fuels and non-renewable energy, and we need to be moving towards renewable energy sources. And we've been taking some great steps forward as a planet towards it. I've seen a lot of countries making initiatives to move to non-renewables, to move to electric vehicles, to just, you know, to really, I mean, Ireland just had a big vote to not rely on fossil fuels and really move towards renewables. And I mean, it's just like, it's just spreading worldwide, but it's like, there are, every time, you know, as always, every time you see good things, you always see, you know, steps back and things like that, and that's what we're seeing. I just read this week in the paper, it really sucked to read, but I read that there was news of big energy giants like TransCanada and Enbridge. Both of those energy giants are reducing all their stakes in renewable energy developments, which is a big step back, because these, like, having these big giant companies moving towards renewables was a big thing. You know, that was what was going to change the investor money towards going towards the renewables. But unfortunately, these investor money is held strong, because the investor money, a lot of it, is connected to Satan and his Illuminati, which is what their big business is: oil, weapons, the bank. So it's like I said in the earlier video. So they're holding on to it, and they held on to their investor money to the point where now these companies they're moving away from renewables to try and bring that money back into their company, which sucks. But it's not going to deter us. It's not going to keep us from. I mean, like we are going to create the best version of this society, and that version of society is dependent and reliant on renewable energy. And the renewable energy that is out there is just like it's going to change our world, and it's going to bring us to the Back to the Future type society. Like we're going to be able to get there. It's just the reason why we can. I mean, maybe like flying cars, maybe not like that kind of atmospheric stuff, but like all kinds of cool technology. We might get, I don't know, flying stuff. Who knows? But but to get to that kind of a futuristic thing, like it requires renewable energy and renewable energy developments and technology like that, which is being held back. But we're breaking through and breaking forward. But it sucks to see steps back like this. It really does. But it's not it's not gonna stop things. It's certainly not gonna end the movements towards renewable energy. So it's we just need to keep influencing the people that have money to move towards renewable energy. And when those of us get into a position that have money, we need to put our money where our mouth is, and help these renewable energy developments, help these projects that are trying to change the world and bring it to the best version of it. And I certainly will whenever I'm able to come into money. So it's but right now a lot of the investment money is holding tight, holding fast in the fossil fuel area. So we just have to hold it. They're holding their ground, we got to hold our ground and move. We'll move forward, and good will overcome. And I keep saying it, but once we build the best version of society, we just won't fathom how we ever lived in this in this world. Trust me. But okay, and now moving on to sports, and this is kind of sports, but kind of real life. But really, really great story from the last week here. But just a big time cheers to LeBron James for this absolutely amazing school that he opened for at-risk kids in his hometown. Like, when I saw the list of things that school was going to provide for those kids, it's just like, excuse me, it almost brought a tear to my eye, because it's man, if they fulfill even half of those promises, they are going to change like so many lives so significantly. But it's like, but man, if they can fulfill it all, if they can fulfill every promise that they laid out in that plan, wow. Like this is good. This will change the game for generations of families. And it's it almost leaves me speechless, really. When I saw it, it really seems almost too good to be true. And that's why I really hope that LeBron James is connected to God and Jesus, because with God and Jesus, too good is true. So if he is connected to God and Jesus, then this is not too good to be true. This is going to be one of the best things to happen to our society, and one of the things that will help us move forward to the best version of it. Because you talk about the best version of school for kids, it's like, man, this is it, like, for what it provides for people. So it's like, this is the blueprint, man, going forward. This is what we got to provide the kids going forward. And the thing that really stood out to me was paying for every kid that graduates, paying for the post-secondary education at the University of Akron. It's like, that is just unbelievable. I really, really pray, and I just really hope beyond all hope that they have a plan in place to provide, to follow through on that promise for every single head that comes through the door and is in that school. I mean, I hope they're not like, okay, not everyone's going to graduate, so we can no. I hope they're like, man, every single head that is in this school, we can provide that post-secondary promise to. And I mean, that is just like, could you imagine being in school knowing that your work will guaranteed lead you to a post-secondary opportunity where you can get yourself a skill and a trade to give yourself a good life, to create a foundation, to create a family and have a good life for that family. And then if I'm talking about if we created a system, then to allow yourself to become maybe in contention to be president of the US or prime minister of Canada. So it's like, that really stood out to me, and I just really hope they have a plan in place for long term to fulfill that promise to every single student that walks through those doors. But I just thought that was just such an amazing thing. And I've had my criticisms of LeBron's for leaving Cleveland and going to Miami, and how he's drives me nuts how the refs treat him on the court, and sometimes how he plays the game. But really, it's like, shut my big mouth. This doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's like, for him to be doing things like this, it's like, you know what? You really have the right to go play for any team you want to play for. It's like, all that other stuff seems so meaningless, and you almost seem so embarrassed for giving him crap and maybe thinking he was kind of an asshole or a douchebag. It's like nobody could really put their time and effort and energy into creating something like this if you're not if you're not living close to the best version of yourself. So it's like LeBron James, to me, really it just my hat's off to him, a big time cheers, and I just really hope he's connected to God and Jesus, because this thing will be a long term thing going forward. But man, even if he's not, like, he provided us a blueprint for how to create the best version of school. It's like this version of school is just going to be so amazing for kids. And school should be the most fun. Like, the technology in school should blow your mind. Like, for me, my best version of school is a teacher walks in and it's like Minority Report. Bam, boo, woo. He's moving things all over the digital boards, and he's like, man, you're talking about Rome? Boom. Rome right there all around you. You're in the Colosseum? Boom. The Colosseum's up here. You can show this. It's like you're just talking about all this. That is my dream for schools, and creating the best version of it. But man, LeBron James and his team and whoever was involved in this, bringing this school to reality, to life, is really giving us a blueprint. And but that's how I know that why they had Trump almost immediately go in on LeBron, because that is just pathetic how, in the aftermath of LeBron creating a school like this, they have Trump absolutely try and trash LeBron, call him dumb, and I just how can you attack, why, to attack a guy that just did this? That's how you know that I'm right about Satan and his Illuminati and what's going on, because who would be mad about something like that other than those kinds of people, and other than Satan and his Illuminati? Who would be mad about bringing a school? Because here's the reason why that pisses them off so much, and why they would immediately have Trump do that. LeBron is directly helping people that Satan and his Illuminati want exactly where they are. Struggling, uneducated, in the gutter, held down, no chance to be the best version of themselves, no chance to be someone in society, no chance to get to a level of intelligence where they can think of ideas to bring us to the best version of this world, to bring to figure things out about the world, and figure out how to help us bring down Satan and his Illuminati. No, LeBron is helping those people. That's why they are pissed, and they are probably going to do everything they can to sabotage this idea and everything around it. And it starts with trying to attack LeBron immediately. But it's but that's the thing. They want these people exactly where they are. So LeBron trying to help them like this really, really pisses them off. But they probably are. But they are probably even more scared about the ripple effect, about the waves that this can create. Because I'm really, really hoping and praying that other people with money and influence like LeBron see this and man, you know what? LeBron brought this. That's a great idea, brother. I'm gonna follow your lead and bring this to my hometown. And all of a sudden, you have 2 schools like this, and then all of a sudden, you have 10 schools like this, and then all of a sudden, entire cities are this is what we want for everyone. And then you have all cities that have schools like this, and then all of a sudden, that's just what school is. It's like it spreads like a wildfire, and they know that, and they're trying to put this thing out immediately. But that's why it's like we need to recognize things like this and just fan the flames and make that into a raging inferno. But it got me really excited when I saw that, because I was like, man, that's a blueprint for school going forward. That's a blueprint to help us get to the best version of this society. So it's, and that's, but I just want to let people know, why they're attacking LeBron, and they're gonna, they'll attack him more and try and do more. But it's such a great thing that he did that, and I really hope this thing, it has a long-term foundation to exist, and I hope it's the beginning. It's the start of many, many more schools like this, because it's going to help so many people and change the game for generations of families. So big time cheers and much love and God bless to LeBron and his whole family and his team, because that is just so awesome. Sticking a little bit with sports, talking about got the NFL coming up. I'm sure no one noticed, but I did not talk about the NFL publicly last year, because I put them on a boycott after since they sold us out to that Russian billionaire and his little network there, DAZN or whatever, that piece of garbage. But since they sold out Canadian customers and other customers out to that piece of shit service, I was just like, I'm done with that. Like, I'm not going to support the NFL. I'm not going to talk about a league that does that. But man, what a bunch of stupid idiots after they're like, not only like they didn't, I can't, like they killed the Sunday ticket culture with a good chunk, a decent chunk of fans, because a lot of people I know that were like had to have Sunday ticket every year no matter what. We're like, man, I didn't now that I got through it without it, it's like I can be good. I don't think I'm ever gonna get it again. If they bring Red Zone back, maybe I'll get that. But like, I don't think I'd ever get Sunday ticket again, because they're stupid, man. Like, people had it in there. It was a culture. Like, wives even knew, okay, we got to pay for this stupid Sunday ticket, and it was just like a thing you did. But then they canceled it and got rid of it, and then all of a sudden it was just like you see that life goes on, and you're able to still enjoy your football Sunday without the Sunday ticket. So then you're like, man, that's $300 in my pocket, or $250, whatever it costs for the season. So that was such a stupid mistake on their part, and but it's a shame, because it's I enjoy the NFL game, and I like talking about football, I like talking about it, but I'm just not gonna publicly support a league like that. Like, I mean, fantasy and gambling makes me money, so I'll still do that. I'll still watch it because I love football. I just gotta watch it. But I mean, I'm not gonna buy their merchandise, or I'm not gonna try to publicly support the brand and get momentum going or anything like that. Because talking about it publicly definitely helps brands and leagues and sports, and that's what they want. So it's like. But this year specifically, I mean, their pathetic, disgusting response to these protests during the anthem, and that's what they are, protests during the anthem. They're not anthem protests, you idiots. It's like people thinking that they're protesting the national anthem in America and blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to be, I just can't fathom what it takes to get that low of intelligence to believe that. It's like they're protesting during the anthem because that's going to make people going, holy crap, why are they doing that? Oh, because police are slaughtering black people in the street. Really? Like, well, give me some examples. Oh, okay, here's hundreds of examples. Oh my God, like, are you like, wow, like, I mean, we need to do something about this. Yeah, you're right, like, that's why they're doing it. Okay, well, I'm going to talk to my local authorities and local leaders and say, you know what, we need to take a look at our police and make sure they're not killing black people like this. This is disgusting. This is wrong. This is murder. That's what these protests are all about. But no, these morons, oh, they hate America. They hate the anthem. It's blah, blah, blah. That's why you do a protest, to get people to watch, just get people to talk about it, get people to take notice. So it's like the fact that the NFL is like, you will stand or you will be fined, you'll be suspended. It's like, oh man, this is like they could not. I could not. I wish I was an NFL player just so I could kneel during the anthem. And it's like, and that's like, man, like, some white guys need to grow some balls and kneel. It's like these guys putting their hands on his shoulders. Like, what a pussy, man. Like, don't even do that. Don't even do that if you're gonna, like, if I was a black guy, man, I would shake the, like, just don't even do that. Like, kneel or don't, or like, don't touch me, because like, you're not really supporting me like that. Like, a prominent white athlete kneeling during the anthem would get people to go, why does he think it's important enough to, why would he do that during the anthem? Maybe it'll get them to look into this and realize that people are being slaughtered in the streets by police officers, by people posing as police officers. So I apologize to all real men and women wearing the police officer badge. But it's like, if a white guy, I mean, it honestly, it just disgusts me. It disgusts me. It's like, cause like, I would be kneeling with them 100% right alongside. But I can't stand this whole putting the hand on the guy kneeling. It's like, you're not supporting him. You're saying that, like, you're just like, no. I mean, like this. People are being murdered. Like sons and daughters are losing their fathers and mothers. Like wives are losing their husbands are losing their wives, like mothers and fathers are losing their children. Like this has gone on. I mean, one is far enough, but this is hundreds every year. This has gone on it's too far, too long, and too much. And that's what these protests are trying to do. And the fact that, you know, these rich scumbag owners are sitting there with their old good old boy. You'll do what we say. You'll dance to it when we tell you to dance. You'll jump, and when we tell you to jump, you'll say how high. It's like, this is I'm not going to talk about this league publicly. And you know, it sucks. I love the lots of players in the league. They're killing themselves for this league, but it's just unfortunately, it's like I can't support a league that's gonna spit in the face of their players, trying to help people that are being murdered and that are dying, innocent people. Like, this is it's too much for me. And you know, I really wanted to address, you know, I wasn't gonna talk about the NFL, but when I saw some more comments from some owners, and it got me riled up, so I figured I'd just talk about the NFL. And because I wanted to talk about, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the anthem protest, and how stupid it is that the interpretations of it, and how important they are. Like, these are not just like things to be shrugged off. This is important, very important issue that needs to be addressed. But but that's why I wanted to talk about it. And then I just wanted to mention why I hadn't really talked about NFL in a long time. If some people might have, because I used to. I mean, I'd like to think that like some people out there have, you know, like, check out my Twitter and maybe are interested in some comments that I make. But you know, if there are people out there like that, they may have noticed that I haven't talked about the NFL in a while, so I wanted to address that. But but that's it for the NFL. And so moving on, it was a pretty dark day in wrestling that we just had. 3 deaths basically in the same day. So I just want to talk about each one just a little bit. I want to say, you know, R.I.P. Nikolai Volkov. Man, Nikolai Volkov is one of those wrestlers that represents 80s wrestling to me, especially his 80s WWF. You know, I always loved watching him, and he was always one of those guys. I mean, he didn't seem like one of the best, but he didn't seem like he was very good in the ring when I was a kid. But as I grew up more and understood more about wrestling, and, you know, rolled around, you know, a little bit with, you know, like, you know, amateur wrestling with my friends and stuff like that, you know, I started to realize that, man, this guy was really good, especially with how big he is, and you could see how strong he was when he moved guys around in the ring. So it was, you know, I really appreciated his work as I got older. And, you know, as a character, he was always so much fun singing the Russian national anthem. I always would sing along in my own gibberish way. And, you know, always had fun doing that. And it's my favorite anthem that he did was at WrestleMania 6 when Anvil, I love that he's just walking by and he's pacing, he can't stand it until he finally has enough and attacks him, and just hard attack, boom, 1, 2, 3. That was, oh man, one of my favorite moments. And, you know, like, you know, good on Nikolai, a veteran, for like not putting up a fight to do a quick job like that for the Hart Foundation. Definitely helped Brett and the Anvil to look like killers, basically coming in and just wiping the floor with these guys. So in a few seconds, so. Despite a loss, I thought Nikolai still looked great in there, and but Nikolai was always one of those guys that had soft spots for one of my favorites, and those '80s guys I grew up with as a kid, those '80s wrestlers, and they, to me, they're just like almost like uncles, and so it's I always just had a different appreciation and love for them. So it's just wanted to say I really loved enjoying watching Nikolai Volkov perform in the ring. He entertained me so much, and he'll definitely be missed. And just want to send as much love and prayers and good energy out to his family, friends, and fans as I can. Godspeed, Uncle Nikolai. And then a very, very sad end for Brian Christopher, son of Jerry the King Lawler, better known as Grandmaster Sexay, one half of Too Cool with Scotty Too Hottie. And Brian Christopher, very polarizing figure. Had a lot of negative stories that were said about him. Definitely, had some good stories. A lot of positive people that had good experiences that never saw the negative part of Brian, but a lot of people did. So it was a very polarizing guy. Nobody, but inside the ring, his talents, nobody could say anything about Brian Christopher. Like, he could go in the ring, he was entertainment, he had just crazy charisma. I mean, I remember when WWF tried to get the light heavyweight division going, Brian Christopher was one of the. That was my first exposure to him. I was like, wow, man, where did this guy come from? He's really good. And I liked watching him work in the ring. So, and he was. He would. It's too bad that he never. He would have been better off in the WCW with those cruiserweights, because I think he would have been. It's too bad that he didn't start his career off in WCW instead of WWF, because I think maybe he would have been on a much different path, and maybe he would have been more appreciated as a worker if he would have been able to work with all those guys that were still in WCW at that point, because he could certainly go with the best of them, and he just didn't really have. I mean, at that time, they weren't going to put him on the level to work with the guys that he could have great matches with that were a little bit bigger, and there wasn't enough smaller guys in the company for him to have great matches with. So, he kind of, his reputation didn't grow as big as maybe it probably could have with the talent he had. But, inside the ring, Brian Christopher was as good as they come, and it's just, it's just one of those guys who he unfortunately fell into the category of, if he could have controlled his demons outside of the ring and, been able to, figure things out on that side, would have had done much more in wrestling. But, he did a lot, WWF Tag Team Champion during the biggest time in the business. So it's, he had his accomplishments, and it's just, it's a shame, he definitely didn't live an easy life. Being the son of Jerry the King Lawler is not easy with all the expectations you have coming in the ring. But at the same time, Jerry Lawler has seemed to struggle, being a dad a little bit, like trying to, I guess, the running joke was always he never wanted to acknowledge that he was his son on TV, and that's good. He let him make his own name. I mean, I was a fan of Brian Christopher before I became a fan of Brian Christopher before I ever knew he was Jerry Lawler's son. So I mean, that was good in letting him. But I mean, I don't know how much that spilled over into real life. So it's, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy for Brian Christopher growing up, but you see in the pictures and stuff, Jerry was definitely still around, and they still had a good relationship together. So it was my heart breaks for the King right now. It's Brian was one of the reasons that he got through his heart attack, and like he was right there, flew right there to be by his side, and for the King to to have to bury him is just God, I just can't even imagine it. And it's I'm sure that just, I mean, I hate to pry into their personal life, but like it's things that were they've been talked about, like I think King was optimistic that this event might have led to Brian turning things around, but for the fact that it led to the end, it's just, my heart really breaks for the King, and it really breaks for Brian, his mom and all his family, friends, and fans, because it's we all want to see everybody get themselves back, and you know, pick themselves back up off the mat. And it seems like Brian was trying to. He's just struggling with it, and it's a shame that it had to end the way it did. But wherever where Brian is right now, he is if there are consequences on his soul that he has to accept from the sins in his life, then he is certainly accepting it now. So it's not on any of us to dwell on that and to hold him to it. We need to just focus on the good things about him, the best versions of him that he brought to people, the best versions that he brought to us on the screen as a wrestler. And like the legacy of Brian Christopher will be a polarizing figure, but at the end of the day, I think he'll be a guy that's talked about as a guy that was really, really good in the ring, and had unreal personality. Like his dancing and that laughter, like I had to try one time. I know that was awful. It sounded like it sounded so bad, but I had to try one time for him. So it's but it was but that dancing that he used to do with oh man, it used to make me laugh, especially in the earlier days when he would really go at it. So it's I just his legacy will be more for his in-ring stuff than his for his out of the ring struggles. So it's it's sad to see it end this way, but much love and God bless, and much positive energy and strength as I can to out to his family, friends and fans, Jerry the King Lawler, and Godspeed, Grandmaster Sexay. And so the last wrestler that passed away on that on that awful day was a wrestler named Brickhouse Brown. I wasn't too familiar with Brickhouse Brown, but I'd heard the name before. I knew of him, but he had never been able to break through to the national level on a big long-term run, or even. But had tons of influence and a big run on the independents. Had a big influence on Mick Foley's career. Really helping him out and being nice to him. Mick Foley wrote a great write-up on Brickhouse on his Facebook that I really encourage everybody to go read. It was a great piece, and it really helps give you a window into a guy that should have probably been given more of a been given more of an opportunity, but for whatever reason didn't get one. So but it's nice that Mick Foley was able to write such a great thing that gives you a little bit of a peek into the life of a guy like Brickhouse Brown. And these builders, these guys that even just because you don't make it to a national level doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be remembered, that you didn't make big time contributions. And I guarantee you Brickhouse Brown was a reason why people kept their love for wrestling and kept coming out to the independent shows, that kept them watching the bigger shows and kept them watching and buying wrestling and supporting wrestling. And that's going out to a match and being like, going out to an independent show and knowing if Brickhouse Brown was on the card, you were at least going to get an entertaining match and, see a good match that you could probably see on national TV anywhere. So, guys like that are very important. They're still out there today. And, I just... Brickhouse had a big effect because I saw a lot of people talking about him. When he had when he had a little scare a few weeks ago, but he kicked out, and I saw a lot of people honoring him, mentioning his name, sending out tweets, and when he passed away about a week ago. So it was. He was definitely somebody that had a big impact, and I just wanted to mention him and send as much love and positive energy out to his family, friends, and friends as I can. Godspeed, Brickhouse. And so talk. I'm not really going to talk about WWE right now because right now for me WWE is one big. I'll give it. We'll call that the patented Jericho Raspberry. We'll give him ownership over that. But I couldn't be more tuned out of the product right now, and it's a shame because there's so much talent on it. But it's like I'm tuned out I know the promos are 100% scripted, so I'm done with them. I'm not listening to them. It's there's no point in I mean, the booking, the angles they do. This show is clearly this product is clearly booked only directed at kids, and the adults are just expected to enjoy it and go along. It's like they are not like this. Let's just say that they don't care about booking to this product for anybody. But if you don't have kids, WWE does not care about you, and I don't know, might be. Some people might think that's a stretch to say, but really the way that they don't book anything on this show that's like geared towards adults. Just because it's geared toward adults doesn't mean it has to be crude or vulgar. But I mean, there's nothing on this show that is geared toward adults. Everything is geared only something that a kid can enjoy. And I mean, even my nephew Dominic isn't enjoying some of this. It's like, this is stupid. This is like, why are they doing this? Why wouldn't he just do this? Like, he's like, I mean, even kids aren't enjoying this. So it's like, and that's the thing. So that's the most ridiculous thing. Like, who's easier to please than a kid? Like, you can like dance around like in a silly way, and a kid will laugh. Like, oh yeah, that's so hard. Like, so really, you should be trying to book things that make adults and kids laugh. Like, the Shrek format is perfect. Like, Shrek should be with WWE. Like, well, if you want to book more of a PG towards kids, then it should be Shrek style, to where there's still stuff to what adults can enjoy, and the kids laugh, but they don't really know what they're laughing at. But it's like the adults still like enjoy it. Like, that's what WWE should be. That's the kind of content that they should be trying to settle on. But right now, this is just like, it's garbage. It's like, it's only stuff kids can enjoy, and even the physical stuff in the ring. It's like Seth Rollins. It's like his stupid superplex into this Falcon Arrow, man. I can't fucking stand that move, man. It's like, that is like WWE too many times right now is a parody of wrestling. And that move, like, anybody watching that move would just roll their eyes, be like, okay, man. Like, and he's supposed to be one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, and he does things like that. Like, it just frustrates the absolute crap out of me, because he's better than that. You're a better wrestler than to roll through a top rope superplex. Like, but yeah, like, I mean, I know I could see the wrestlers working so hard to make this stuff good, but it's just like, it's just such a manufactured parody of wrestling right now that it's just one big. However, one awesome thing that they're doing is this WWE Women's Evolution pay-per-view, and it's awesome to see, but sucks why it's becoming a thing, and that's because, you know, they're trying to balance out the women not being able to compete on the Saudi Arabia shows, and it's just like, it sucks that it really sucks that they've connected themselves to these, you know, scumbags like some of these Saudi guys, and, you know, it's like, just, I mean, that's one of the really big things that keeps me turned off of and tuned out of WWE. But but at least it's something good, like an all women's pay-per-view is coming out of it, and it should be awesome. These women are going to be working to tear the house down. Every match is going to be want to steal the show. So I can't wait. I hope they make this as big as possible. You know, like Survivor Series, 5-on-5 elimination matches. Maybe a little, a 20-woman battle royal for a legit prize or something like that. I mean, I want to see I want to see this as big as possible, like past, present, NXT, WWE, you know, even in independents that aren't committed to one of the like ROH or Impact, like I just want to see this as big as possible, like is this, and you know, but for I can't wait to see the matches that they put on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they put this together. But I guess the one dream match I'll throw out there is the one match I want to see is a Fatal 4-Way elimination match, and my dream match would be Molly Holly versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley versus Candice LeRae. And that to me would be just an on fire match, especially if it was elimination, with the crowd knowing that 3 of these 4 women are getting pinned or submitted. So That would be an incredible match to me. I think the all four workers would be able to tear the house down. I don't know if anybody would be able to top that. So that would be my dream match that I'm hoping for. But really, I'm excited to anything they're going to be putting together because I know it's going to be awesome. I know the women are going to be absolutely obsessed with putting on a night that nobody ever forgets. So I can't wait for October 27th, I believe it is, and this WWE Women's Evolution pay-per-view. And just want to mention again for people, if you're tuned out of WWE and getting sick, please, I encourage you to watch Impact. I was not able to put my money where my mouth was for this Slammiversary, just because I had my niece and nephew here, and just with the $40 price tag, I have to go into Vancouver for my cousin's wedding, so I just wasn't able to make it work. I don't know what the numbers are for it, but I mean, I think they might be better off. I think they might sell more pay-per-views if they had a $20 or $30 one, but I mean, I don't know the numbers or how to make it work. I mean, if you can get 40, I mean, that's even better for the company. It makes more money. So, but I just wasn't able to make it work for Slammiversary. But, everything I heard, it was an amazing show, top to bottom. I haven't watched it yet because I want to pay for it. I want to support the company, but there hasn't really been a way to do it yet. So, but I'm going to eventually be able to watch it, and but I'm really looking forward to it because it sounded like an awesome show. All the matches delivered, and I watched I watched the first Impact after it, and man, it really made me realize what an awesome show I missed. So definitely gonna try not to miss the next one. But man, Impact has been really good. It's just gonna build more momentum and get better as people get more excited and get believe more in the product. So I really encourage people to watch it and really give it a chance. And the more wrestling companies that we have doing well, the better it's going to be for the quality of the creative, and the better it's going to be the environment for the wrestlers, which is all good things for all of us. So then for the NXT side of things, I gotta mention that I just cannot believe that bald fuck Ciampa, whatever the hell your stupid name is. I cannot believe he is champion. Like, Johnny Gargano, you idiot. Like, you gotta be more careful than that. What are you doing? Oh, as soon as he came in there, I knew that he was gonna that belt is gonna end up in Aleister Black's forehead. But damn it, he does not deserve it. He should not have it. And but oh man, does that create some interesting scenarios going forward? Because oh man, it's just damn it, why the. But for me, I think they kind of I wish I was around there because I would not have let them put side plates on that title. I feel like the Tommaso Ciampa character would not have accepted side plates from the company. He would have just wrapped that thing in electrical tape, and that's how it would have been. I don't think that character would have accepted side plates. But hey, that's just my observation. And but it's fuck, I can't believe that Tommaso Ciampa, that son of a bitch, is NXT champion. But it makes interesting TV, and I mean, he has been putting on awesome matches. That match with Aleister Black was awesome. It's just probably one of the best matches ever on normal NXT TV. So it's that part of him is great to be watching. But damn, that character, man. And it just pisses me off that we finally have this great, amazing heel, one of the only great heels. I mean, one of the only true heels to get resoundingly booed consistently for a long time, and now we got people that are starting to cheer Ciampa. It just pisses me. It made me mad until but it's really Johnny Gargano is he's getting so far over the edge that he's almost allowing Ciampa to become champion by being an idiot and bringing the title, doing the whipping, pulling on playing tug of war with the title. You should know, you love wrestling. You've been in the wrestling business a long time, so you know what happens in those situations. So it makes sense to be like, you're an idiot, you deserve that. So, but I mean, I don't want people to start cheering Ciampa just because, they're contrarian. If everyone's keeping their hand off the element, I'm going to go up and slam my hand down on it. It's like... But him being champion really creates an interesting scenario. So it's it was entertaining TV. NXT. I love when NXT does things like this, and really creates more changes. When you think just when you think you got the answers, they've been able to change the questions. So. And really, I'm looking forward to the next few episodes, and then what goes down at this next takeover. And so just moving on to before I move on from sports, just want to mention I gotta mention Johnny Manziel and throwing 4 interceptions in his first start. But man, shut up, people! Everybody's saying that Montreal just did this to put asses in seats and they're gonna ruin him and he shouldn't have been starting. Like give me a break! There's no. It is not a bad thing that he started. This is not a bad thing that he went through a game like this. This is actually probably the best thing for him. It's a great story. Start out with 4 interceptions, maybe one day you finish with 4 touchdowns in the Grey Cup. So it shows him how high the quality of play is in the CFL. It shows him how much work he has to do. Like 2 of those picks, I didn't really get. I had to work, so I didn't really get to see much of the game, but I saw the highlights. 2 of those picks for sure weren't really his fault. One was tipped. But not okay. I didn't mean his fault, but 2 of those picks weren't because he didn't know the playbook or whatever. One was tipped, I think, and one was because he just didn't put enough on the ball. He had the receiver if he would have just put enough stank on it, but that shows him with this big ass field and with the wind that can come in some of these prairie cities. With some of the prairies or some parts of Canada, it's like you have to fire the ball. It's like it's better to. In cases where you're throwing a long distance on the side of the field, it is better to overthrow than it is to underthrow. Because underthrow, 9 times out of 10, that is getting picked all and pretty much towards the house. So it's. But he's got to start sometime. He's got to start somewhere. He only had a week and a bit he only had like a couple weeks, a week and a bit to get familiar with the Montreal playbook. But whatever. It's not rocket football. It's not it's not that complicated, and it's not the end of the world. If he would have came in and thrown 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 200 yards, that probably would have been worse because he probably would have thought, hey, I got this. I'm pretty good. But but now he knows he's got to put in work. He's got to grind. Every single throw has to be, as on point as he can possibly make it. He's got to put everything in it. He can't, be lackadaisical on any of these throws. So it's I think this was the best thing for him, and it's so stupid. All these people were like, oh, Mike Sherman the week before, Mike Sherman promised us Manziel and then he didn't deliver. What kind of why is he doing that? And then Sherman says, okay, he's gonna have some practice, 2 weeks of practice. He's gonna be ready to rock it. He'll be able to run a basic playbook. Sure, the Montreal playbook is not. There's similarities between Montreal and Hamilton's playbook, so that's the thing. Hamilton just spent a bunch of time with Manziel, so they know a lot about him. They have a lot of film. They have a lot of personal time playing with him and getting to know him. So it's to me it's just ridiculous that people were getting all crazy that he started. This is a good thing. He needed it. He needed to go through it, and now there's he said, there's nowhere to go with butt up. There really isn't. So it's he's gonna need to be studying film. He's gonna need to know what schemes these teams are running, where the holes are. It's a big wide field, so these holes are gonna be a little more prevalent. But because of the wider field, the players know the players are faster than he might be used to. So he's got to get that ball in there at precision, but faster. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be quarterback in the CFL. And Johnny Manziel found that out the hard way in the first game. But it's not a bad thing, and I think people are just being stupid about this, just trying to complain. Like, he's gonna be the starter for the rest of the season. Like, Montreal has invested, like, this trade. They've invested in Johnny Manziel, and now it's up to him to put in the work to get better. He said he's going to do it. From all accounts, he is doing it. So we'll see how it pays off on the field. But I don't think this is in the end of the world. I think this is actually one of the best games that he probably could have started out with. So people are going way too nuts over it. And just to say a little bit about the Rider game, since we're talking about sports and everything, Riders played really good against Edmonton but they played absolutely down the stretch, man. Like, especially that last drive was just absolutely, like, what are you doing? 2 dump off passes, and then on the third one, excuse me. It's going to be a long bomb to the end zone, but you stand in the pocket, like, you're going to have to kind of run around and get that run up and fire it down there, but that was just I just couldn't believe that last series. But it just down the stretch, it was just some brutal play calling, brutal coaching, and brutal mistakes. So it was just really tough to watch the team play that well and throw it all away at the end. But got our next bye week, so hopefully they are able to get this together. And man, now we got a really tough stretch coming up. We got back-to-back with the Bombers, Labor Day Banjo Bowl coming up. With how well the Bombers are playing, I mean, Labor Day is no given anymore. We've already, that streak has been, the streak we were on has been broken. So they're confident they can come in here and win any time. And Banjo Bowl is hard to win it when we're playing at our best. And we're certainly not playing at our best now. So this team really just needs to shake it off and figure it out and get to the best version of ourselves, because, man, we're running out of it. It's still early. We still got time, but we're running out of it. And so team just needs to get going. I believe we have the pieces. We just got to put it together for a whole 60 minutes, longer if they want to go to overtime. But the Riders play well, just really fell off a cliff at the down the stretch. So hopefully this bye week helps them fix things, and they're ready to rock and roll for the rest of the season. And I just want to send out some of my strongest prayers of love, peace, strength, good energy, healing, knowledge, wisdom, courage, perseverance, and all the best possible, strongest energy I can out to Demi Lovato and everybody struggling with addictions and things like that. I was really, really, really heartbroken to hear that she had to be rushed to the hospital with an overdose. She'd been sober for so long, and then just recently had made a song that she had relapsed, and then now obviously relapsed again. But it was just I really love to see people get through their recovery and get over it, and it really breaks my heart when people take a step back. But that's the thing about dealing with the addictions. It's a lifelong battle, and Satan and his demons will never ever give up. They'll never have mercy on you. They'll never quit trying to negatively influence you towards going to whatever your addiction was. And it's one of the I don't want to start gossiping, and so it was the drug I heard mentioned. It was hard for me to place that drug with Demi Lovato, and it's like I just really hope that anybody around her that loves her and cares about her just make sure that I dealing with a loved one that's had an addiction. It's struggle with addictions. I know that it's a lot on them, and they need to get to a point where they can they don't want it, they control it, they're able to get past it. But I also know that a lot of it is the influences and the environments they put themselves in and around. So I really hope that the people around Demi Lovato and anybody else dealing with addictions, that they love them and they care about them, to identify these negative influences and people and situations and get them out of there. And no matter what, family, friend, foe, whatever, like, to get them out of there and remove that influence, or just remove that environment or that person, because it's it'll cost them their, as we you can only, you can't you just don't want to play. You don't want to play games with your life, and that's what's you're playing. You're risking your life every time you do these hard man-made drugs. So I just I just send all my strongest love and prayers out to Demi Lovato and everybody around the world dealing with and struggling with addiction. And I really hope that I really hope this is able to just get through. And one of the things that was able to help people that I've helped get through it is because one of the things I've heard that back and feedback is that telling themselves that you're never going to do something again, never, is like that kind of creates just almost creates an angst. It creates a negative emotion and feeling, and it almost creates it almost unwittingly or unknowingly creates a desire to do it, saying, it's almost that contrarian, don't do that. Oh, well, I'm going to do it. So, it's like saying never. And when you think about it, I'm never going to do something again. Never is a long time. So, like the thing that when I was trying to help people that I found helped was just, not focusing on the never. It's like, I've done it in the past, and I may do it again. I may do it tomorrow, but not today. Never today. And as long as you never ever do it, you only have to give it up for today. And it's like, and only on today is the day that you give it up. And then tomorrow, whatever, nobody knows what tomorrow brings. But today, you'll never do it today, and you're not going to do it today. You won't do it today, and you're going to give it up today. Tomorrow is, maybe tomorrow, maybe, but never today. And like every time we wake up, it's today. So if you tell yourself that you're only giving it up today, then that's it. You're never, you don't have to worry about, that never or forever. It's, you're just worrying about today. And I know it's not going to help everybody, but it's helped some people I've dealt with. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I just, my heart breaks for people dealing with it. I want to get to a point where no one's ever dealing or struggling with addiction. So I just, just send my strongest love and prayers out to Demi Lovato and everybody out there dealing with it. And so to finally wind down, I've been talking a long, long time. Jeez, man, I'm probably approaching 3 hours. Hopefully people that are watching, when you watch this video, hopefully you're still watching. But last two things winding down talk about are, just want to talk about two podcasts that I listen to. Talk is Jericho first. Man, that's such a great podcast with how the variety of guests that he brings in. It's just like, man, because Jericho's kind of my generation and we have a lot of the same interests and stuff, it's just like pretty much enjoy almost every guest. Well, I do enjoy every guest I listen to, but I'm pretty much interested in every single person that he brings on. He almost always asks the questions that I'm kind of wanting to know about, and he always is able to, because he's such an engaging personality and is like, laughs at when the jokes and stories are funny, and it's like, that people that you can tell that the people that are telling the stories and jokes appreciate it because they almost start laughing. It's just, he's a great interviewer, and Talk is Jericho is a really great. It's not just as a podcast, an interview program. He's a really, really good job. But wanted to mention a few of the recent ones that just finished, or just one of the ones I just finished was Doc McGee, the manager of Kiss and a bunch of other big rock acts. Never heard of him before. I like rock music, but I never really dive into who the managers are and all the, I don't dive into it too much. Again, other things I'm interested in. But man, what a great interview that was. This guy was really engaging to listen to. Had great stories, and it was just I could have listened to another few hours. He was a great interview, and it was. But even the other Paul Stanley interview, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley. It was just the Paul Stanley interviews were really awesome too. Like I could listen just to hear him talk about music and break down a track and. Oh man, that was such a pleasure to listen to, and I was just, man, I could go like, man, it's like if Paul Stanley, I hope I'm still about 200 episodes behind on Talk is Jericho, so hopefully Paul Stanley came back for a third. He's already been on twice, but it was just him and Jericho have a really great conversation, and it's just really awesome to just listen to them talk and just talk about music. It's not just about Kiss and the history, but Paul Stanley just has such a mind for music. It's just really, really awesome to listen to, and wouldn't have got that without a program like Talk is Jericho. But when one of the best podcast episodes I've ever listened to was the Jericho 25th anniversary. Like, that thing was absolutely hysterical, and I just, oh man, the stories that they told, like the backstage things were just unbelievable, and especially like, I'm not gonna say it and spoil it. You got to go listen to it. It's worth it to track it down, and it's worth it for me not spoiling it. But the pig story with Tony Condello with that, it's like, man, I'm waiting for like, I know, and I'm not gonna. It's just the pig story with Tony Condello was incredible. That whole podcast was amazing. Laughed my ass off. Could have listened another 2 hours. So it was just one of the best podcast episodes I've ever heard. Go out of your way to listen to it. But it was just so many different ones lately. You know, Bill Apter episode is very, very interesting, especially with some of the things he was talking about. That, you know, I like me and him are on the same level when it comes to certain things. That was awesome to hear. But he was just, you know, I think he's definitely one of the more underappreciated personalities in the wrestling business. So it's nice to see him get a chance to interview with Jericho and have a long podcast like that. But, you know, he always gets some great pop culture interviews. Like, he was on Sharknado, so he got Ian Ziering in. And, man, that was just, you know, sometimes you don't, like, going in, like, how interesting is this going to be? But that was a really interesting interview. Not the kind of guy I thought he was at all. So, really cool to listen to that. Vanilla Ice was really considering skipping on that one. But that ended up being a really good one as well. And I think the last one I just finished was the Viva Eddie Guerrero episode, and you know, to hear, you know, Chris Jericho, Dean, and Chavo talking, reliving Eddie memories was just amazing, and it was just you know, it just really, really makes you miss Eddie Guerrero, and really appreciate the time that we had with him and how great of a guy and a personality that he was, and And one of the best things about Jericho's wrestling interviews is the fact that he pretty much had a match, like he's wrestled almost everyone, so he's had like a match or an experience with these guys, so he can kind of, you know, remember when this, or I love when guys are like, like I know he's had a match with Jericho, so I knew he was in for a potato farm or something like that, potato harvest, and it was just, I just love the little little jabs they give at each other, and Jericho had, you know, so many interactions with guys in the ring that he's so many of those little comments, so it was, it's one of the best, most unique podcasts because of the guy Jericho is and how much world experience he has and how many things he's interested in, so I really highly recommend it, and I really encourage everyone to go check out it, especially the episodes that I've highlighted, but any and all of them are good, so just wanted to mention that because it's Talk is Jericho is one we become one of the best. Listening to it's become one of the best parts because literally every time you get like a good belly laugh and a good entertaining story. So I mean, can't go wrong with that. And last but not least, talk about still probably the standard, the best the best podcast, Something to Wrestle, with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. Also a WWE Network show, Something Else to Wrestle with same Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. But you know, the video, I love the WWE Network show because of the video clips that they show with it, and while they're talking at the same time, you can see still pictures or videos of what happening. Just adds so much to it. Excuse me. Adds so much to it, and just makes it such a different experience than just listening to the podcast, you know, through audio. So I, you know, really hope that Something Else to Wrestle with continues into the season 2. They had a great season 1, so it's you know, who knows? I mean, some of these network shows, you know, you have season 1, and then a few years later you get another one, and then some never again. So, but hopefully they move forward with the season 2, because I really enjoyed season 1, and even though some of the episodes they'd done the same ones on the podcast, having the video cues and just, you know, having them talking about it in a different format. I mean, I'm a diehard wrestling fan, so I could hear someone talk about the same thing, you know, 1,000 times. So I'll enjoy it. I'll definitely enjoy it. But hopefully there is a season 2, because that was pretty awesome. But podcast is still great as usual. They've had some. I mean, I just even the topics you don't think you're going to be that interested in end up being awesome, and it's just I always have trouble because they always throw out the question on Twitter, what's your favorite episode? What episode would you recommend to people? And I have trouble because I think about it, and it's like, really, to me, it depends on how big of a wrestling fan you are. It's like, because that's how much you're going to enjoy it. Like, I mean, if you only liked a certain wrestler, well, then you'd love that episode. But I mean, if you're a diehard wrestling fan like me, I mean, pretty much every episode gives you something that every episode is worth listening to. And some of them have more funny impressions and more stories, and I'd have to go back and listen to them all to get those again. But I encourage people to listen to from the beginning, because you really hear some of the voices, that some of the stuff Bruce doesn't do anymore, and some stuff he still does in there. But some of the stuff he did more often, and just some of the jokes that are inside jokes that were prevalent early on they kind of got played out, so they're not they don't do them as much as around now. But for me, it depends on how big of a wrestling fan you are. If you're a huge wrestling fan, go listen to it all. You're gonna love it, because it's if you love hearing about what's going on backstage and why they made a certain decision and what was going, you're gonna love it. So that's why it's tough for me. It's like, just depends on how big of a wrestling fan you are, and. I enjoy all the episodes, and so it's really tough to throw out there which one's the best. I'd recommend them all, but I can't really narrow down even a handful where I'd say this, because when I think of this, I think, well, also maybe this, and it just depends on how big of a wrestling fan you are, like, and what era of wrestling for me, I started in the '80s and stayed a hardcore fan till now. So I can enjoy anything. But if you only watched in the Attitude Era, well, you're probably gonna start with those podcasts and then go back to the other ones, because if you're a wrestling fan, you'll enjoy them all. But it's it's hard for me to say the best. However, having said that, their Invasion one that just went was probably their worst, because that was a tough one to get through. And I think the line that sums it up perfectly is Bruce Pritchard saying, "Well, if DDP's character was so great, why isn't WCW in business?" Like, if that isn't the most fucking ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life, like, yeah, WCW's success and failure hinged on DDP's character. Like, the only reason they lasted as long as they did was because DDP's character was so great, and he carried that company, even though they probably should have pushed him harder than they did. Like, his title, he should have been pushed as a guy that kind of fluke title wins, he should have beaten Goldberg. Everyone would have taken it, accepted it. If he would have beaten him, it would have been fine. Goldberg wouldn't have been hurt by it. DDP would have been elevated, but that's a long other conversation. But that was just such a stupid statement. I mean, honestly, if he did kind of call the Stalker storyline stupid, but he didn't agree that DDP should have came in as who he was, the People's Champ. Like, I don't understand. Like, he should have came in as the Undertaker's buddy. Like, they like to ride bikes. They like DDP's that, I don't know. To me, that was always DDP was always that man of the people. Undertaker's a man of the people. So it was like, to me, that was always a fit. DDP comes in as DDP People's Champ. Undertaker's like, they get along, and Undertaker welcomes him to the WWF. It's like, DDP's a character that wouldn't have been booed because he's a WWF guy. He would have been, for sure. People just love DDP. Even his show, when he takes off the thing, he gets a big pop, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, well, he's the stupid stalkers. Now we gotta boo him." It's like that. But I mean, like, if you can't admit that the DDP stalker angle is a piece of shit and he should have came in as just DDP, and if you can't admit the Invasion angle was a complete failure and a complete piece of shit because WCW was made to look as the inferior loser second brand, well, there's no point in doing that one. Like, just skip it, because WCW could have, though, Bruce was. I know what he was trying to make a point, but I felt like he didn't didn't really know. He wasn't able. He wasn't saying what he was trying to say, and I mean, because he said that he said at one point with that a lot of those like it wasn't some big $10 million pool of wrestling $10 million person pool of wrestling fans watching both shows. It was a big group switching back and forth. So that's why not the Monday Night Wars weren't as popular as they say. But then on the flip side, he'll say that WWF fans didn't know who WCW fans were, even though millions of people were watching WCW, but it's like, okay, so millions of people watched WCW but did not retain any memory of what they were watching or the wrestlers. It's like, no, it wasn't like what I know he was trying to say, but he just wasn't saying it. Like, the reason why WWF fans didn't react to WCW wrestlers is not because they didn't know who they were. It's because WWF fans were like, give me a reason to react to you. Like, I'm not just gonna react to you because you're a WCW guy. Like, WCW, this is WWF, and you need to give me a reason to why I'm gonna cheer you or boo you. And said the way they presented them, they didn't. Like, they just presented them as, here's WCW, cheer or boo them. It's like, well, that's not going to happen. It's like, if they would have made even the lower card, obviously the Invasion was going to be stunted because they didn't have the main players. I get that. But they could have made these secondary players look like main players. And, but it would have made the WWF look bad and inferior. Like, you own everything, you idiots. It's like, if it makes you money, what do you really care? Like, if people are paying to see it, what do you care if people say, oh, like WCW is better? You own WCW now. So they're actually saying that WWE is better because WWE owns WCW. So it's like making WCW look strong would not make WWE look inferior or bad because you own both. It's like, but I guess to them, like, I don't know. It's crazy to me to buy a property to make it look inferior, but it's like, but that's why the Invasion failed, because they made these guys look like bum losers that had no chance to stand up to the WWF guys. And they've hammered that point home, not just with the secondary guys, but with every single main event guy that came over. And everyone says, oh, we're not going to just sabotage a guy to make money with them. No, you're not going to sabotage a guy to make no money, but I know that WWE would be like, okay, we'll make $6 million we'll be able to make $6 million and fuck with this guy, and we'll be okay with that, and we'll forego making $10 million with him if we didn't fuck with him. And so I know that that sometimes they choose fucking with them and taking the 6 rather than not fucking with them and taking the 10. I know they do, and I don't care what anyone behind the scenes says. You can see that with the product and the decisions that are made. It's not every time, but I know that it happens. But I mean, the invasion episode was pretty hard to get through. And but I mean, it's just it was still an entertaining episode. I still enjoyed it, and like eventually when I go back and listen to them all, I'll still listen to it again. But it was an episode that made me a lot more riled up than normal. But I believe that Bruce was trying to say that WWF fans were just like, they're not just going to cheer WCW or react to WCW guys because they're WCW. WWF fans need a reason inside WWF to react. And if you give us that reason, we'll cheer you or boo you. But if you don't put in that effort, you're gonna walk into crickets, and the door is gonna hit you in the ass on the way out. So. But it was, that was a rough episode to sit through. But that's how you got a great thing going when you put together what might be your worst episode and it's still really good. So, and they've started a new thing with the podcast, this Patreon stuff. I guess it's grown pretty big in the podcast world and the other in the wrestling and other entertainment world. But it seems, man, this thing is pretty tempting because it's I have no idea the prices, but the fact that they've uploaded all all of the live show. Like, I guess they recorded all the live shows and uploaded them. It's like I would love to have access to the archives of those live shows, because I'm not in the position to be flying to these areas where they are, unfortunately, yet. Hopefully one day I'll be able to attend one. But they're certainly not coming to do spot shows in Regina, Saskatchewan. So, if being able to go and watch some of these shows online would be pretty sweet. So once the summer is over and things settle down and no more trips or anything like that to go on, I might take a look and see if this Patreon thing is worth signing up for, because I'd love to take a look at some of the archives from these live shows. It seems like seems like it's always a pretty fun atmosphere, which makes for a pretty fun show. And when fun is definitely contagious. So that's it's intriguing, but they have tons more content with that. So it's man, really tempted to sign up, but we'll see with the Vancouver trip and everything. Probably got to wait till after that, but definitely tempting. And I think a lot of the all-in stuff is going to be with Patreon as well. So I'm really looking. I'm really gonna take a look at this stuff, because those live shows are very tempting me. And last thing about the podcast is I wanted to say, it's just I think it was this last one, or maybe it was the one before, but Conrad gave Bruce 3 options to sing Billy Gunn's theme, and I was hoping beyond hope that one of those choices for the impressions would have been the Iron Sheik, because I was laughing for like a few days, just like thinking about Bruce doing the Iron Sheik, singing Billy Gunn's song. Like, he did Jim Cornette, which I think Jim Cornette's might be my favorite impression of his. But for me, I think my favorite impression in wrestling is a good Iron Sheik. And a good Iron Sheik is not just about the voice or just saying what you say. What you say has to be on point. Like, it can't just be like any vulgar, crude stuff that comes to your mind. It's got to be, there is a rhyme and a reason to his stuff, and it's got to be on point. The voice has to be on point. I think you would just destroy that doing the Iron Sheik, doing Billy Gunn's theme. Like, I'm an ass man. I break your nah. I break. I'm not even gonna do it. I don't do a great Iron Sheik, but just thinking about it made me laugh so hard, and it's. I was hoping beyond hope that Conrad would say the Iron Sheik and he would do it, but that's the kind of fun that they have on Something to Wrestle. It's the impressions Bruce does. They're so much fun, and they add so much to the show. I mean, Jim Cornette, when he really gets into it and is into the character and gets into a little. And is able to get into a few sentences rant. Oh man, it is just one of my favorite things about the show. But I think that Iron Sheik is probably one of my favorite wrestling impressions, because when it's done good, it is like, it never loses its humor. It is so funny, and it's just one of my favorite things about Something to Wrestle is the impressions. So it's it's a great podcast, and I highly recommend checking it out. If you were even an ounce, like a smidgen of a wrestling fan, you'll love it. It's it's a great podcast. So that is all, folks, for me. I am done talking today. I'm sure I'm knocking on the door of 3 hours, if not cross that threshold. Was definitely too long, but wanted to talk about some random topics. I thought I could condense it enough to get it within under 2 hours, but I mean, even that's pretty long. But I love to talk about things, as you can see with my videos, but I just each one of these things I didn't really think was enough for one video, but I kind of wanted to talk about them, and I wanted to talk about them now, so I didn't want to